Hello and welcome to the Graveyard Media Podcast, episode 60 for the week of October 1st, 2018. I'm your host, as always, Saine Grey. With me is Dalsson.
Woo!
And Thel.
It's fucking Halloween, bitches. Grab your shit. It's time. Do
Me
all
too,
that
man.
Halloween shit.
Yeah. I'm gonna be Buzz Lightyear.
His ass gonna be Buzz Lightyear. Gonna be
Maybe.
Harry Potter.
I haven't even gotten that far yet. I know that October is my favorite month and Halloween's my favorite holiday, but I never think about what I'm gonna be for Halloween until October 15th.
Right.
I don't.
have,
When
a concept of what I'm going to be. But it's one of those things that I'm going to sort of feel out. I'm gonna do something similar to I did some stuff a couple of years ago, and I'm gonna do something kind of like that.
when I was out there with you saying for Halloween, didn't we go to Party City on October 30th and we're like, shit, they're all sold out of anything good.
It was a little bit earlier than that, but not by much.
Yeah.
I think it was the
though.
weekend before.
That's the Halloween experience. Y'all gotta go to fucking Goodwill to get anything.
Where they will be incredibly busy.
Yeah, where they will be incredibly busy because everyone knows y'all gotta go to Goodwill to get anything.
Yep.
They charge full price for Goodwill stuff, though.
Yeah.
Never discount anything for Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be
True.
Halloween, and it's nope, full price.
Mm-hmm.
You want shitty red dress? $50. Fuck you.
Welcome to Goodwill, bitch.
We give people jobs. Pay us money.
Actually, it's still probably $15, but
Yeah. well,
Yeah.
It is still
I mean,
Goodwill,
it's Goodwill full price, so
Yeah.
it's not full price. Yeah. I changed my background because of the Halloween. I
see
feel like
that.
Halloween brings out the best of me. So what I decided to do was, instead of ironically making the fun of the thing that we are doing unironically, I decided to put up a bunch of posters of movies that sort of fit into the genre of this new wave of horror that's been going on since 2015. And
Oh, you mean the genre of good horror?
yes,
That genre? Yeah.
exactly.
I think the one thing that throws me off about it a little bit is it's a little Christmas themed for me.
That's
Yeah.
just because it's green.
Well, and there's splotches of red everywhere.
You need to get those paper cutout pumpkins and just paste them all over it.
Yeah, I just need a paper cutout bat, put one right there. Maybe I'll leave the red, or just color it more of a crimson red. It's slime green and blood red.
Oh,
This
I
is
know. You
Christmas
just get
at
a
all.
red marker and then you draw blood lines coming
Yeah,
down
blood,
it's blood.
coming down. Yeah. Maybe
That's what
I'll
you need to
have
do.
I'll just have a decal. It's just a Santa Claus decal, but it has X's through the eyes and bullet holes or something. It's it's Christmas, but it's deadly Christmas, where Santa is dead and the abominable snowman and Krampus kill people.
So I was in the mall and I walked by Hot Topic and
Oh no.
apparently it's the
I'm
25th.
so sorry you had that experience.
Apparently it's the 25th anniversary of Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
So of course, store that sells 90% Nightmare Before Christmas stuff and 10% other stuff had big posters and stuff all over the walls of Hot Topic.
Please come back, we miss you. You were edgy teenagers once. You can be again.
Hey, isn't that the shirt you're wearing? Shut up.
Yeah.
All right, so for the first hour, we're going to talk about games and movies we've checked out this week. Then we're going to head into game and movie news after that, after a break. And I just want to say...
surprisingly, we have some.
Yeah, shit. There's lots.
I just want to say early on that if you want to discuss with us anything we talk about, you can go ahead and leave us a comment, because we do actually read and reply to a lot of those, so...
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Talk shit
So what's
about,
first on the agenda?
Thel, you want to go first?
About Dream Shield, I'm gonna blast you. I'm gonna do it. Dream Shield is good. Fuck you. Yeah. All right. With this, being that it was October 1st, this morning I watched a movie. It was the first movie of the Halloween season. This movie doesn't really sort of conventionally fit in the horror genre, and I was a little bit wary of watching it. First thing of Halloween, I might want to start off with a horror movie, but I started off with this instead. But it really, really does fit very well in the horror genre.
Die Hard.
No, that's Christmas.
Damn it.
You were close though. I watched Bo Burnham's 8th Grade. Holy shit.
Yeah, that was a horrific time for many people.
So, this is a movie. The basic plot is it's a movie about a 8th grade girl's last week of 8th grade. She is trying to be confident while also releasing her web series that teaches other people how to be confident, and of course is sort of based on a lie because she's really, really super socially awkward herself. This is an uncompromising, horrifying movie to watch that will legitimately fuck you up. You think I'm joking, but I am not. Saine, remember how you said the reason you didn't want to watch it was because you felt like you didn't want to go through. You was like, I went through 8th grade, I don't want to do that again.
Actually, my 8th grade wasn't that bad.
Oh, okay. But yeah,
you must be mixing me up with someone else. But I totally get that. I think for me it's more high school than 8th grade. But
right. But yeah, that and you know about it. Whoever said that, good fucking call on their part. Jesus Christ, this movie. This movie does something that's really nice. It puts you in the shoes of the main character in a very, very profound way. It takes a lot of the 8th grade problems that this character is having, and it doesn't play them as jokes. It's very, very serious about them, and not only that, but it's it treats it as though it were actually taking place. It feels very, very authentic. One of the things about Lady Bird is Lady Bird, you go in, it's you start the movie and you kind of aren't on Lady Bird's side, but as the movie goes along, you sort of switch focus to okay, yeah, Lady Bird is the person I'm rooting for now. In this movie, you were always right with the little kid, even though she's sometimes being a dick to her dad.
And I have a question real quick.
Okay, yeah, hit me.
So is this 90s 8th grade, or is this
no, this is
current day 8th grade?
Very, very specifically current day 8th grade, and that's one of the things. There are a bunch of references in this that are the 8th grade kids are making because they're fucking 8th graders. That in
Fortnite.
Future,
no, I'm just kidding.
I'm glad we both went to similar places.
Last year, so unfortunately that didn't hit yet. However, there is one of the teachers is the principal dabs and
that's what I said.
Tries to get a laugh out of the kids, and then none of them fucking do anything. Constantly in the background, you'll hear LeBron James, stuff like that. The one of the most beautiful scenes of the that I've seen in a movie all year at the very end has to do with Rick and Morty. And I never thought I would feel this much joy that had anything to do with Rick and Morty, but fucking
except
here we are.
Except for the first 6 episodes of Rick and Morty.
So I was watching this art stream last week. I don't even remember. I think it was Thursday or something. And it was an art stream by people who work at the studio who made Panty and Stocking. Back when they were working at Gynax, and they were talking about some American shows that they've watched, and they were talking about Rick and Morty for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
They also said that if they hate any one character out of all of the properties they've worked on, it was Shinji from Evangelion, so I win.
Fair enough.
So you win.
I win that argument.
Even the people who draw Shinji hates Shinji.
Exactly. Sorry, that was a tangent, completely unrelated, but...
Yeah. Where was I?
You're talking about Rick and Morty references.
That's the thing. There's a couple of rays of light in the end of the movie that are wonderful, and they leave you with a very good feeling at the end of the movie in the last 15 minutes, because the entire rest of the hour and a half movie just makes you feel like shit. Christ, this movie does not let up, and it goes in places that you sort of like feel like because it's very much about 8th grade, and it is an uncompromising movie. It doesn't like, it's not like what you would expect like a high school or 8th grade movie to be from, like, you see all these studio movies.
Yeah, it's not like a young teen novel movie.
Yeah. It is a very real movie. Like there's a point in the beginning, right? A long following shot where what's practically horror music plays as the little girl walks up to this McMansion from like, and this is like going from her sort of dingy house. She walks up to this McMansion to a party that she was invited to because a friend's mom like forced her mom to come, or forced her kid to invite her. She walks up to this McMansion. It's a complete following shot. The music is like horrific, and in the background she has like a narration for one of her YouTube videos talking about how to like be confident and saying like, there was this one time where I was having a party at my house where I had to invite this weird girl, and we all thought she was weird, but then she showed up and she was like really, really cool, and we all liked her. And then she like gets into the bathroom and like almost pukes, puts on her swimsuit, and then walks out to the pool party where everyone is having fun. And like in these sort of high school movies, you'd be like, a couple of people are like, oh, who's that? Oh yeah, that's the loser. Nobody notices her at all, which is so much worse. She just gets into the pool, swims a lap, and then just sits at the end while everyone else just pays zero attention to her existence. And it's just the most horrible thing. And this is like the beginning of the downward spiral. There's like multiple things in this movie that you like sit there and you think, it would be really fucked up if they did this, haha. And then just like a deer in the headlights, it just starts to happen, and you see like the fucking like you see like the series of events unfold before your eyes. You see what's going to happen. You see it start up, and you're just like, oh Christ, God, fuck. This movie does everything that Lady Bird tried to do, but better.
Wow.
Don't get me fucking wrong. Lady Bird is a very good movie, but yeah,
that's pretty high praise.
Yeah, I hate and love this movie. Like, this movie is so impeccably well made. For a directorial debut, this movie is goddamn immaculate. For a directorial debut by a guy who got famous because he wrote songs about penises and math on YouTube, this is a fucking triumph. Like, God,
who's the director?
Damn.
Who is this?
Bo Burnham.
Oh, right.
Oh yeah, okay.
You said that already.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that case, do you think, like, because Lady Bird was in the running for an Oscar, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. This is very.
Do you think that this has a good chance then?
I would definitely say this has a good chance.
Of at least getting nominated, right?
Oh yeah, like it was distributed by A24, and they've been having some good luck. Yeah, it was like I sent this shit to like I was talking about Flash Jam because he's already seen this movie. Like one of the things he was saying, oh yeah, the car scene, best horror movie scene of the year, and this is the scene that had the bear scene from Annihilation. I still say that the bear scene was like slightly more fucked up, but this was if you want to watch a movie that makes you feel bad for most of the movie, then this is a good movie to watch. It definitely does. Like I said before, the last 15 minutes of this movie are wonderful and beautiful, and they make you feel just warm and fuzzy all over, but the entire rest of the movie does not. That was one of the things that I sent to like the first thing I sent to him was just me watching 8th grade was like, this is a wonderful encapsulation of life being an awkward 8th grader. It's really well made. It's impeccably cast. The music choice and camera work are wonderful. It gives the movie a feeling of not taking its subject matter lightly, and it puts you in the main character's shoes. And also me watching 8th grade. Oh, I hate this.
My 8th grade, let's contrast this with what my 8th grade was like. In 8th grade, I played D&D, Magic the Gathering, and Diablo 2 with my friends who were high schoolers. So
fair enough.
I had a pretty good. I would say I had a pretty good 8th grade. It wasn't until high school that stuff started going off the rails a little bit, but
yeah. For me, a lot of my school was, I thought it was that super socially awkward kid, but at no point was I ever actually that. For some reason, I was just always like under the impression that I was, but I always had like a group of friends. I don't
when
know
I
why
was
it was.
in 8th grade, I think I made friends with Dale Gribble
Yeah,
from King of the Hill.
same. I also went to that high school.
He was a hall monitor, and
grade.
whenever I got my stuff confiscated, he would break it out for me.
There you go.
So that was all I really remember of 8th grade. I don't know. I don't think I'm repressing the memories. I think it was just so boring that I don't remember any of it.
I think for me,
Man, smash the system.
for me, middle school had a higher percentage of weird kids, so I fit in that we all were weird kids together, so it wasn't weird. Whereas in high school, I was still a weird kid, but there was only one other weird kid that I really knew. So
right.
well, I guess that grew over time, but I don't know. It was
I
still
totally
awkward.
in my fucking high school, there were totally kids that wore like Naruto headbands and tails and shit.
Oh, me too,
And
but like
my school wound up banning Naruto headbands because they thought they were gang related.
I went to like a sort of a rich kid school. So they didn't expect gangs at all. So no one cared.
Right.
My school had one clique, and it was the farmers. I went to rural. Throughout my whole life, I went to turbo rural school because that's where I live. I live in the middle of the woods, and so I got to have friends, meet people who would verbally announce that they were racist and be proud of it. I feel like if you go to high school with anyone, you're probably going to end up hating that type of people. And I don't like rednecks very much at all, personally. I think that they are bad and aren't good.
High school, I hung out with skater kids, and also I hung out with emo kids, and I also hung out with anime club. So. Oh
yeah, I did mostly the same thing. I hung out with internet kids, and not my gym teacher, but a gym teacher. I think he was the extracurricular basketball coach and also a history teacher. He also ran a Dungeons and Dragons group after school.
Sounds about right. Although the skater kids weren't like skater kids so much as they were like pot burnouts, kind of, but also skateboarded.
Pot.
Yeah,
okay.
I hung out with like what were essentially the couple of computer nerds that were like throwbacks from the big Intel thing that's going on over here. Like we had like this new development that was meant to like bring in the Intel and Nike crowds, and it sort of worked, but mostly it's like meth houses now. My town is fun.
I live in Phoenix. That's like unstated, but everybody knows.
Yeah,
I live in California. It's like fucking a box of Cracker Jacks. You don't know what kind of special prize you're gonna be. Actually, as far as high school went, I lived in Florida, so it was even worse about that. You never know who the fuck you're gonna pull out of that box of Cracker Jacks.
Fair enough.
We had an Intel plant that closed, so it was like the opposite.
No. Yeah.
Or it was Honeywell, I think, actually, but same thing.
Yeah, so that's reminiscing about school days.
Yeah,
that's eighth grade.
8th grade.
8th grade. But yeah, 8th grade, if you want to fucking feel like trash for an entire movie, and I know I do, go watch 8th grade. A perfect Halloween movie. It'll fuck you up.
I think that you've given me a recommendation that makes the movie sound really good, but also makes me actually not want to watch it.
I feel like it's one of those things like Saine Grey, New York. It's like, you know, you watch this movie and it's really good. It's incredibly well made and it's super creative. But at the end, you're thinking, so why am I still alive? Why don't I just die? Because nothing is ever going to be okay and everything is always terrible.
Yeah. See, that's why I don't think I want to watch this movie, because I hated school more than any point in my life. All of it.
I might actually check it out.
Unlike Saine Grey, New York, this does end on a happy note, and it's a wonderful happy note. It's like, there's like a couple of good things that happen, and it's like the fact that these couple of good things happen just make everything okay. That's all that you needed.
Right.
I think there's a few movies that I want to check out before the end of the year.
Yeah.
And that's definitely on the list. But I probably won't be able to see a few of these in the theaters like I intended to. But
Yeah, and this
Right.
one's already out of theaters, I think.
well, I don't know. Maybe not.
Depends on your theater, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably in some of the theaters.
Eighth Grade, and then there was that other one that you couldn't even describe the genre to me.
Oh yeah, fucking Sorry to Bother You.
Yeah, I also want to watch that one sometime.
Yeah, that one is super good. It's like tied with Annihilation for my favorite.
But also, we're watching like a million movies this year, or for October.
Yeah,
so I don't know if that'll probably be December or something before I get around to that.
Yeah. Like this October, we're gonna go through some fucking vampire movies.
You know, I would probably have liked Annihilation a bit more if they leaned more into horror than they did. Because don't get me wrong, they definitely had lots of horror elements to it, but it came off as more like eerie than rather than being like overtly horrifying. Other than like the bear scene, but
yeah.
Okay. So when you reminded me that this year's Halloween movie theme is vampires, immediately I remembered that we will probably be watching What We Do in the Shadows, and just thinking about that movie made me break into laughter.
Good.
Should we watch that really bad Johnny Depp movie in the 80s that they came out with recently?
You were saying that we need to put some more bad movies on, so we very might as well.
Yeah, we should.
Okay.
There's no shortage of bad vampire movies.
Oh yeah, there's some like good bad ones too.
Yeah.
Some like really good bad ones. Let's move on though, because that's been 8th grade for a while.
It sure has.
And
others.
So, do you have anything else though before we talk about?
Aside from Let It Die.
Before we move on, yeah, because I have Let It Die, and I have another game that I might talk about briefly, but
that's about it.
That's it. Okay, then I'll talk about Crosscode for a minute.
Okay.
So this is a game that I've been following for kind of a long time. I bought it maybe like almost 2 years ago or something, I think, in early access. But when I picked it up, it wasn't story complete yet.
Right.
So I didn't want to keep playing because I knew that at some point I would hit the end, and it was the way that it was designed was you kind of needed a fresh playthrough to actually get everything and to actually like make it through the story. So I just was like, I'll just sit on this and wait for it to come out because it's a very good game. It's been, not finished for the longest time. So it recently came out like last Tuesday, and I haven't really had a lot of time with it yet because I've just been busy, and so I was only able to play it a little bit, and most of what I played I'd already played before.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Basically, my thoughts on it are sort of what my thoughts have always been on it, and I might update or I might not. But what it kind of is it's sort of a it's sort of Zelda-esque in that it has kind of puzzly dungeon designs from like a top-down perspective, except it's a little bit more active in terms of its combat system. In addition to having like your normal melee attacks, you also have like a ranged charge attack kind of thing. If you fully charge it, it will bounce off walls and stuff, and if you kind of hold it down, it'll like put out a cone, and it'll slightly slowly narrow, and then it'll kind of rapid fire attacks in the cone as it narrows. And then a lot of the puzzles are based off of ricocheting and hitting switches and that sort of thing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. There's a lot of like kind of like almost more platforming than I would like in it a little bit. It's not that the platforming's bad, it's just that because you're in that top down, it's a little fiddly in places. But again, it's not really that bad, and definitely you can tell that it's designed in the sort of way that they're intending to put lots of secrets and places that you wouldn't get to unless you actually tried and that sort of thing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how like what they do with that, especially later on, and if maybe dungeons will make better use of stuff like that too. So the kind of premise of the game is that it's sort of like an MMO. So it's like a fake MMO. Except rather than being like a video game, it's people are remotely controlling robots. And so robots are running through this this world fighting other like monsters that are essentially also robots. But your character in particular doesn't have their memories. You lost your memories or something, so you're being put into the game to kind of help jog your memory and figure out who your character is.
Right.
So I think presumably, like every MMO genre, like fake MMO anime or a game or anything like that, you're in a coma probably.
Right.
So that's interesting. It wouldn't be as good as it is if it wasn't for the combat system, though. I think and like the puzzle design, but that's really what kind of holds it up, because so far, I think that it is weighed down a little bit about kind of how many side quests there are, and like they kind of throw a lot at you at a certain point, and it's like, okay, in order to do these quests, I need to do these specific things, and then to get this equipment like through the trade system, I have to like find these pieces, and so it kind of has a lot of that MMO crap that is good or bad depending on how you feel about that. Right. But at least it isn't like, I don't know. There's some of it for sure, but I don't feel like any of the quests are like go kill 6 dudes and find 4 bear asses and bring all of the bear asses to the place.
Who doesn't like
not
bear asses though?
So there's not like a ton of that, but there are definitely like you need certain components to make certain things to get certain items and that sort of stuff.
Right.
So,
but a lot of games are like that. So like,
yeah. But it seems like
games that have crafting systems in general are like that, you know?
Well, it's not traditionally a crafting system, it's more like a trading system. But
okay.
But yeah, so I don't know, like I need to put more time into it to really see if how much that weighs the overall game down, but I think so far the combat system is so fun and interesting that it kind of holds the rest of the game up, so I'm willing to give it more time to see how I feel about it further, but right now I'm really enjoying it, so.
Right. Well, that's good.
That's all I really have to say now, though. I might have more to say later, but like I said, I haven't put as much time into it as I want.
Okay. Now, I have played nothing but Let It Die this week because I am in love with that game, so before we go into that, do you guys have anything else?
Oh, I already changed the title. I don't think I do.
No.
All right.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, let me get my thoughts out and Let It Die, because I think maybe Thel has spent more time with it than me. I'm not sure, just because he has more time.
No, I don't think I have. I played like a little bit of it. But
I can double check for you guys.
I'm very well have maybe played more of like the new update with RimWorld. I can say one thing about that. I like the new update with RimWorld. I feel like it's good, and they removed like what was essentially a soft cap on the amount of dudes you can have in your place, and now you can have 1 billion dudes, and that's what I've always wanted.
Now you can. Now you just have to wait for Star Citizen to put out another update so you can make a new RimWorld video.
Oh, it has put out like 2 updates. I need to go back and see if it fixed anything. I'm not expecting much.
Guaranteed not.
So rounding both up in this case, 19 hours for Dalsson and 12 for Thel.
Okay.
Yeah, and
so
almost 3 for me. So.
Okay. So so I may have put the most time into it. I remember Thel was a little bit ahead of me, which was pissing me off. But
no, I wasn't. I was on the same point that you were.
Right. In any case, I really like Let It Die, right? So like everything about it, like even from the moment you get into the first cutscene, like it's just stupendously crazy in the way that only a Japanese game could be, you know? Like the motherfucking Grim Reaper himself comes at you on a rocket-powered skateboard wearing these crazy fucking 3D glasses, and he's like, "How's it going, senpai? Long time no see." And you're like, "Who the fuck are you?" And so you have no idea what's going on. All you know is that you want to climb the Tower of Barbs. Because why? There's treasure, maybe, or immortality, or maybe you'll save the world.
Specifically immortality, yeah.
I'm pretty sure the game says treasure.
I think it was a little vague.
Maybe the treasure is immortality. Maybe the treasure was the friends you made along the way. Who knows?
Yeah, friends.
Yeah. So that's just the baseline story of the game, and like the whole world is essentially based around climbing this Tower of Barbs. Like everybody wants to do that shit, like to the point where there's like a little waiting room. There's an arcade inside of the Tower of Barbs, which is actually where you are. You're inside the arcade controlling a remote person climbing the Tower of Barbs for you. And just like that's just the basis of the whole world, and I love it, even to the point where like their premium service that you have to pay for unless you happen to get lucky with your login bonus and get free premium service is like a premium service that all it does is assist you in climbing the Tower of Barbs. Like they give you a luxury elevator instead of a spooky freight elevator. So like
it does give you more access to more floors, though. It is a little bit. It is a better elevator.
Right. So, let's get on to the gameplay, I guess. I really enjoy the gameplay. I feel like it's the closest I've ever seen a Dark Souls clone, which, let's be honest, at its base, that's what it's trying to be. It's the closest I've ever seen a Dark Souls clone come to giving me that actual like feeling of Dark Souls. You know, all of your attacks have a wind up and wind down. You have to be really careful with it. You know, there's dodging and blocking, parrying, all of that good stuff, but it just doesn't feel. So one of the problems I had with another Dark Souls clone that I played with was called the Surge. The Surge felt like when you tried to attack, I don't know if this is exactly what was going on, but this is the feel that I got from trying to control the character. It locked your entire character into doing something. Like, maybe it was just the way the game was framed or something. So you would like take a buzzsaw and go to attack, and your camera would zoom out. Your character would like hulk out and then do this whole big body sweeping motion, and you were locked into that, and you would move in a particular pattern every time you did that attack. Whereas Let It Die and Dark Souls, for that matter, like your attacks, yes, they lock you in place. Yes, they have particular animations like that, but they don't feel like the attack is taking control of your character for you. They feel as though...
No. Okay, so here, with the Surge, it certainly could feel that way depending on what weapon you used. There were faster weapons that didn't lock you up nearly as much. My problem with Let It Die, in terms of the combat system, is that it feels very sticky. It'll take button inputs from forever ago.
Yeah.
Which I really hate.
That is one issue that I have, because like it has this Let It Die has this whole mechanic where if you stun an enemy, you can do a cool combo finisher on them and get like bonus rewards. But half of the time when I do stun an enemy, it'll be like, all right, I stunned him. Now I can do the combo Oh no, wait, hold on. My attack animation is done, and I queued up another attack, I guess.
Yeah, I really hate that, because I feel like even with games like Dark Souls, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the window of when it would accept an input was closer to the end of the animation. So you could still lock yourself in like in Dark Souls, but it wouldn't take an input when you double tapped A forever ago, or X or whatever.
Right.
So that is like really annoying. That is the most annoying part of Let It Die for me, is that well, actually that's not the most annoying part, but we'll get into that.
Right.
But that, in terms of the combat system, you have to be super conscious of that, which is annoying.
Yeah,
one of the things that I was noticing a lot was like, I would hit a dude interrupting their attack, do my combo, and then like prepare to fuck on them some more now that they were like a little bit stunned, and then dodge out of the way because 15 minutes ago I pressed the dodge button.
Yeah.
And like, It's a little bit like that.
Yeah,
I feel like
I don't feel like block or dodge should cancel animations, but you should be able to interrupt your next input with a dodge or block. Like, and that's something that doesn't happen.
I believe dodge and block should cancel animations, but that's just how I like.
Well, it should in a game where it's designed that way, but in this kind of game with methodical, intentional combat, it should only interrupt future inputs. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, like this is a game about swinging your fucking shit, but in a game like Bayonetta.
Yeah, yeah, everything, like, in Bayonetta's particularly good because everything cancels everything, which is, like, good.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's a different style.
That's the type of game. It's the style of, like, spectacle fighter type of Devil May Cry, Metal Gear Rising, Bayonetta. Those games all, like, they're designed that way to be really fast, whereas things like Let It Die or The Surge or Dark Souls, they're designed to be very methodical. Like, if you fuck up, you have fucked up. There's no saving yourself.
Right.
So... yeah, generally my baseline thoughts, I feel like, and I love the combat in Dark Souls to death, and I feel like, personally, this game has the closest that I've ever felt a game to play like Dark Souls. Maybe it doesn't play exactly like it, but just the feeling of controlling it feels that way to me. I don't really know how to describe it. I also really like the enormous variety of weapons that you can get. That just is really fun. Every weapon is totally unique, like you have a machete that'll do like this sweeping stance combo, or you have a hammer that'll jump forward a couple times. You even have a couple of guns, and each of the guns even feels different. So
for better or worse.
That's That's a pretty decent bonus for me.
I don't know that I think that the weapon variety is that good, at least early on. Like I said, I haven't played it nearly as much as you have, either of you have, but this is my biggest hang up with the game, is the durability system. Like, people were complaining about Zelda and how shit broken Zelda, but man, like, I feel like they don't give either. So there are like two kind of situations you can be in this game, at least early on. It might get better later, but especially when you get more blueprints and stuff and can actually craft some of the stuff yourself. But like early on, it feels like either they never drop you armor, so you're running around naked the entire time, or and they drop you nothing but weapons, but they're all like, so you have like 20 irons or something,
right? Which is one of the best weapons in the game, apparently. I don't know on the breakdown of it, but it is not my favorite weapon. Let's leave it at that. So you either have like no armor and all of these weapons, or you have fully decked out gear and you're punching things. And I feel like those are the two scenarios that I've been in, and like there's no in between. I feel like I never get that balance, and I feel like weapons break down so fast that it's hard to have a consistent like set. Even like I unlocked the metal bat or whatever, so I can craft those myself, or purchase whatever, however you want to put it. You can make full durability ones,
and those work really well, but they still kind of, you burn through them really quick, and unless you are carrying like 4 or 5 with you, you're still gonna run out a lot.
Which I think you intentionally can't really do. They have like a 5-minute cooldown on purchasing a weapon.
Oh,
so
do they?
Okay,
that makes it even more annoying.
It's like a 1-minute cooldown, but you can't.
They have a cooldown so that you can't just fill your inventory with your favorite weapon and use nothing but that.
Yeah.
I
mean,
but again, I don't know. Maybe it's because it's early on, but I just feel like they don't ease you into the game enough, I think. Because when you run into multiple enemies, like multiple of the fast enemies at a time, it can be very difficult to fight multiple people.
Are you using the lock-on mechanic or no?
There's a lock-on mechanic?
Yeah, you click the right thumbstick, just like every lock-in mechanic in every video game that's ever been created.
I tried that. It didn't work.
Okay, first of all, I don't think that lock-on mechanics are so common that you know, I could automatically expect it. But I don't know that that would help anyway.
Actively because of like Monster Hunter and how much I was playing that. I was doing it like on accident, but like nothing happened.
It helps. It helps a lot for ranged weapons. For melee weapons, you kind of don't want to use it.
Well, and also like the ranged weapons kind of lock on their own.
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't mind. So with the ranged weapons, I don't know if this is. So is there a way to like go into the aiming mode on the one-handed like fireworks launcher?
Not with one-handed. Only on two-handed.
Yeah, I found a Magnum fairly early on, and that is like really fun to use. But and obviously that would help fighting multiple dudes because then you could at least take out one of them before the other one comes and fucks your shit up. Yeah. But like. I just, at least early on, it's not very easy to have ranged weapons at all. Unless you are the fireworks launcher, which is, like, really terrible.
Yeah.
The fireworks launcher gets a lot better when you... So one of the mechanics in Let It Die is you can... By using your weapon and killing things with it, you level up your skill with that weapon, and you unlock, you know... The weapon kind of gets baseline stronger. At one point in the fireworks launcher, you unlock it to where the firework explodes, so it steals that.
Well, sure, but do they make it so that the wind down on the fireworks launcher doesn't have you just holding it there forever, even though that you like really should be able to dodge now? Because that's why I hate that weapon.
Yeah. The fireworks launcher is not super good. I maxed it out because I thought it would be really fun, and that's not. Yeah. The rage move is really good. Like that will clear your problem with a bunch of enemies at once because it's a huge explosion that basically one-shots everything.
Maybe, but I think it really depends on how.
Yeah.
I think that depends based on how fast they are and whatever, and what environment you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's another thing. I'm not a super fan of how many different tiles they have.
Yeah, they don't seem to have a lot in floors 1 through 10.
It almost feels it makes it more confusing than anything else that they only have like 4 or 5 tiles at most, and the tiles themselves are very. I don't know what the word is, but like obvious, like very memorable individual tiles. So what happens is you end up getting lost, or at least I do, because since it remixes the tiles, I know where in the tiles I'm going and whatever, but I don't know how they connect to each other. So it makes it even more confusing. Because I remember what the layout was the last time I was here, but because they've moved everything around, but have very distinct things, it's like even more confusing to me.
Right.
So I feel like it's way harder to navigate in either options. Either tiles that are less memorable or preset locations that are designed.
See that I feel like might just be kind of like a time thing because like I've put a lot more time into the game and I've explored the first 10 floors like probably more than I should. I probably should be going on to the second 10, the 11 to 20, but like you kind of start to get a feel for like, okay, this is floor 3. In floor 3, this tile will lead to the stairs every time. This way is one set of stairs and that way is the other set of stairs. And like, it doesn't seem to be like that hard to remember once you know like what floor you're on. I feel like my bigger problem is if I don't remember which floor I'm on, if I'm like, am I on floor 5 or am I on floor 3? Then that's when I start getting lost. I'm like, okay, on floor 3, this tile leads.
Well, I wasn't even paying that much attention to it.
Yeah.
Because honestly, the individual floors didn't do anything to me. Like I was more saying that like just the fact that the one tile where there's like a hill of gravel can connect either to the elevators or like a hallway, you know, it was really kind of annoying to me. But I don't know how you deal with that other than just add more tiles, and I could see why they would not want to invest time in the beginning. But I feel like maybe they should, because those first 5 hours or whatever of a game are kind of killer. And if you get the impression that there's only like 14 tiles or something for the whole 10 floors,
it took me like 15 hours to get to floor 20, and I was stuck on the boss for a while, granted, but it took me a long time to get, or not floor 20, to floor 11. But once they get to floor 11, like each individual floor is like totally unique. So
well, I don't know.
Not 100%, but you're like in this weird outside area on floor 11, so like it like they definitely add more tile sets as the game goes on. It's just those first 10 floors have like, I think they have like 2 different tile sets they can use. They have the toxic sewers and then the regular sewers, and it's like, okay.
There's also really annoying tiles in there that I'm really glad when I don't see them. Like that big circular room.
Yeah, that was the one. I hate it because I always fall off and deal like 200 damage to myself.
Yeah.
The last time the place that I stopped was I was like, okay, I kind of cleared all these dudes, and now I just need to like go back to the elevator where I know it's at. So I start heading that way, and then I'm like, oh, I can probably make that jump, and I jump and fucking die.
I see.
100% full health to death.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my god.
Have you fought any of the bosses, even like the mid bosses?
I fought the mid boss. I fought the mid boss multiple times, but
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not hard.
The mid bosses aren't particularly tricky.
They'll break your shit though if they hit you once.
Yeah, they will. The actual floor boss is a pretty big pain in the ass because he like the boss on floor 10, he is very tricky, right? He has this attack where he winds up and then like spears you, but the wind up time is kind of random. Like I don't think it's random. I think he intentionally holds it until you dodge. So you have to dodge when you see him make the attack instead of when you see him winding up. So if he's winding up and you dodge, he'll hold on to it until you finish your dodge, and then he'll hit you. So, and I've fought him like 10 times. So like, and it's consistent. He does this every time. You have to dodge when you see him start to swing. It's really annoying, but like that's something that I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I like that the AI for that guy in particular is smart, but some of the AI in this game is just really dumb.
Yeah.
Or really, like, irritating.
Yeah.
Like, you were saying earlier, I were watching your stream, and one of your complaints, I remember, was that certain enemies will just block forever.
Yeah.
Until you get bored.
Haters specifically, or people in Tokyo Death Metro, the PvP, PvP Metal Gear Solid 5 kind of style PvP mode, where like any character that is a player character NPC, they will just stand there and like wait for you to attack, and then you'll be on your swing, and then they'll just go block, and then they'll hold up their block for like 10 seconds, and then they'll put down their block, and you go to attack, and they just block again. And they don't even attack you. All they do is waste through your durability. The only time they ever attack you is when you are not actively attacking them. At which point, like, the idea would be, right, you want to wait and try to parry them or dodge their attack and hit them on the backswing, right? Well, half the time, if you dodge them, they'll have enough time to block after their backswing. And the other half of the time, if you try to block them, they'll just hit you. Until
most of the time I'll just wait for them to attack, and I won't dodge. I'll just move out of the way, and then I'll hit them. But depending on what weapon they have, that can be various levels of effective.
It's much worse in Tokyo Death Metro than it is like the basic haters, because the haters can actually. One thing I like is that the haters, which are like, if you've ever played Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup, they're like the ghost mechanic. When somebody dies, it will seed a hater into different people's games and your own game. And they're basically a player NPC that comes to fuck you up. But they can also fight with the ambient enemies, which is pretty fun. I like just watching them kill enemies for me.
So I didn't actually know that.
The first time I ran into a hater, the enemies killed it for me.
So I have a question.
Sure.
Oh shit, I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
I was so interested in what Thel had said in that moment that I was totally went out of the window.
We were talking about
yeah, okay. I think think I finally figured out my issue with Dark Soul like games.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is why I don't like this game that much. And I'm not
Right.
saying that this game is bad. I just don't think I like it.
It's not your kind of.
I think I finally figured out what I don't like about Dark Soul like games. It's not that I'm bad at them, because I'm not.
Right.
My problem is that they're so methodical and intentional that I just find them very time consuming, and I find that very boring. So,
Right.
and I feel like this game isn't that bad in terms of it,
Right.
but I think the game that really solidified why I don't like it was Bloodborne, actually, because I find most of the enemies in Bloodborne in particular very, very predictable, like incredibly predictable. So I don't ever have a problem knowing, what to do against enemies. It's just that you have to bait enemies into behaving the way that you like so that you can attack them the most effective way without ever getting hit. And I feel like all of these games is less about hitting things and more about not getting hit not getting hit by things. So it's and like it kind of goes throughout everything from start to finish with games like this. Like one of the prime examples of this is when people talk about getting greedy at the end of a boss fight.
Yeah.
It's just like there's this thing where you're so close you just want to hammer as much damage because you think that maybe you'll be able to kill it before
it kills you.
Yeah, before it has time to do its next attack. And then lo and behold it kills you, right?
Right.
And I just think that to me it's just not. It's not that I'm bad at it. Again, if I took the time, I could learn all of the patterns, and I could learn all of the enemies, and I could learn all of the weapons that make enemies behave in certain ways. Because Let It Die in particular has a lot of this. Like certain weapons will make them behave a lot differently depending.
Right.
It's just that I don't feel like waiting, and I feel like games like this are more about waiting than anything else. It's not about reaction, and it's not about thinking per se. It's more about waiting and remembering what enemies do what, and just being able to punish and capitalize on that, which I think is fine. And as a game from a game design standpoint, I think that makes a lot of sense. And because before Dark Souls, a lot of games hadn't done that, or Demon Souls, I guess, a lot of games hadn't done that, so it made a lot of sense to design a game around that idea. I just find it really slow and boring to me. So
and that's one of the things that, for the most part, I have a problem with that in Dark Souls like games too, because I could never actually really get into Dark Souls for that exact reason.
Mm-hmm.
But I sort of really like this game for one of the things that you were complaining about. What I like is the fact that the durability system exists, so I'm forced to constantly re-strategize. And a lot of that strategy can sometimes end up, I'm better off with just my fists. Because eventually the fists get really good, because they are the fastest weapon in the game. And you can constantly knock people out of attacks, smack them down. You're going through the Tokyo Death Metro, I'd come in with a big ass two-handed weapon and realize, oh, this was a fucking mistake. I should just throw all my weapons away and punch shit. Because punching shit works really, really, really well.
And that's one of the reasons I defended the durability system in Zelda, is because I thought it did a good job of forcing you to, push your playstyle and just use what you had available. And it put you in unique situations that could only be created by you having to deal with the weapons you have in the different situation you're in. So I totally get that. And I think that it, and in more traditional roguelikes, having weapons that have various numbers of uses or that sort of thing also lends to that same kind of idea. In traditional roguelikes, if you're in a situation where you don't think you can win with what you have equipped, you start just throwing out whatever scrolls you happen to have because it gives you a chance, right? But this, for me, I think it's a little bit too much, especially early on, because I feel like the fists are a perfectly fine weapon. I don't mind the fists, but they don't do as much damage as normal weapons by a significant enough difference that it feels like, man, I could kill this enemy in 2 or 3 hits if I had a good weapon, but instead I have my fists, so I have to just punch him forever. And when you get in situations where
you get like when you get the fists like left trigger and right trigger moves, you can kill like a lot of enemies in like
left button.
Right.
Yeah,
well, it depends what control scheme you use. But
Right.
I just like, and especially in situations where you're fighting 2 or 3 dudes and all you have is your fists, and if you hit one dude, you leave yourself open for the other dude. Like, that is a scenario where you would just be safer to have a weapon that hits either multiple enemies or is I don't know, does more damage, so you can kill one guy first and then deal with the other. So I don't
in
know.
the multiple enemies situation. So I maybe I've got a little more experience because of Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2 specifically always threw like 2 or 3 enemies at you at a time. But I feel like I don't know if this is what you're doing, but like I feel like they're relatively easy to deal with if you just kind of back up until one of them gets bored and runs at you. Then they're just ever so slightly separated, so you can stun lock one to death.
I keep running
with the other one.
I keep running into situations where they're both running at full speed to me, no matter how far away from them I go. So I don't know. I mean, I had a situation where I ran across the map, and I could never bait just one into fighting me. So I totally get that. Like in all games like this, roguelikes, any situation where you have limited resources you're dealing with, it always makes sense to fight one enemy at a time if you can. That's why, you know, people abuse ladders and hallways and stuff in roguelikes. It's the same concept.
Yeah.
So it's not that I don't know about that. It's just that I have trouble getting them to behave the way that I want when they both have like a hammer, right?
Right. Sometimes you kind of have to just like instead of baiting one around a corner or baiting one into running at you, you just have to kind of like circle around them until they're stacked up in such a way where one is behind the other, and that just gives you a split second to deal with the first one. And like I know that's annoying to some people, but that's the kind of
I just think that it's not
gameplay that I really like. It's not exploiting enemy AI necessarily, but like learning how the enemy AI works and learning how to use the enemy's AI.
But you can just still be in unwinnable situations, though. And that's the problem. Like, yeah, you know, I understand that concept, but you can be in a scenario where, you know, all you have is your fists, and yeah, you know, you can stack them up like that, but the guy behind you might hit both of you because he doesn't care.
That's true. That's something I actually like about this game, that they don't give a shit if they hurt each other.
Yeah, and it's like that you can kind of maybe try to exploit that by getting them to kill each other, but at the same time, like, often what'll happen is he'll hit both of you and it'll do so much damage that you can't really have a strategy about trying to force that to happen, because one enemy will have a fast weapon, another one will have a slow weapon. You have to try to deal with the fast one, but the second one will just hit both of you. And again, I was saying that this is what I was kind of annoyed about Dark Souls in the first place. Like, a lot of this is beatable, right? It's not as if I mean, there are unwinnable situations, but it's not as if there is no recourse for dealing with this stuff. It's just it just is so time consuming, so methodical to bait them into the perfect scenario so that you can kill them, preferably with never being hit ever. But, you know, if you do have to take some damage, it might be worth it. It's just it takes so much time to force the AI to behave how you want it to that it just isn't fun for me. So
And like, one of the things that I really did like, and I kind of want to get in before like we have to stop, is the fact that like I probably like this more than like other Dark Souls games, right? Purely because of the fact that like it is a roguelike. I feel like the roguelike system works for me a lot better than the like methodical continuation because just like losing characters, I feel like is more like, oh, okay, well that's a little bit more fun, or maybe it makes me play more carefully. But also the fact that the game is like not just pushing the tower, that there's also the PvP element, which is a kind of a huge part of the game. And
honestly,
so, like,
if it wasn't for the PvP element, I would kind of write this game off immediately, to be honest. Maybe not saying it's bad or whatever, but I'm saying that
you'd like
the PvP element does so much for this game to make it matter, right?
Right.
Because I feel I feel. Let me just get this thought out.
Okay,
I feel like just climbing the tower would make it feel pointless, and that it like all it really is going through and, you know, pushing yourself through the tower as much as possible. So I totally like that is a very good point by Thel, that like it having that PvP element adds so much to the basic tower thing or tower climb that it makes the tower climb feel more worth it, because you're still getting something for something else. I think the only problem with that is if you're not that interested in the PvP element, then the whole thing just falls down. And I think that's kind of where I'm at. I sort of don't care enough to engage with the PvP stuff. That's
like a really, like, I hadn't really thought about this, right? But like that's basically the reason that I have nearly 20 hours in the game and I am not as far as I could be, is because I was like, oh my god, every time I come back to my waiting room, I've been attacked and they've plundered my booty. Well, I have 5 slots for fighters. I'm going to train 5 different fighters and gear them out. And then I'm going to put them in my PvP defense.
Yeah, so, like, that's what I did too.
I straight up like...
Another thing I don't understand about it, and this is just me, like, I guess I didn't go out of my way to learn this, but I don't know how to get new enemy or new characters without dying. Is there a way to do that?
Yes, there is a I don't think
how
it gives
do you do that?
I don't think it gives you the tutorial until you do a couple of Tokyo death battles or whatever. But there is a place in your waiting room called the fighter freezer, and you have a certain number of slots that you can upgrade. Yeah. And you go into the fighter freezer, and then you
So do you
go into the fighter freezer, select an empty slot, and create a new fighter?
I didn't see the option for that, because I saw you do that before I played it, and then I tried playing it, and I didn't find an option for purchasing a new fighter. I only had my 2.
It's possible that doesn't unlock yet.
That's kind of annoying.
Just not. Yeah,
Well, like, anyway, the thing is, in the Tokyo Death Metro, what I think, because I remember, like, immediately on the Tokyo Death Metro, I was able to upgrade my stuff with, like, the soul bits I had gotten from killing some fucking haters running around. You can definitely go in there and, like, with all of the upgrade things, you can upgrade your bank so it can, like, hold more money and defend against fighters, and it's harder to kill. You can upgrade your soul bank, which is, you know, so they don't steal that as well. And then you can upgrade your fighter freezer, which gives you more dudes to defend and also just gives you more dudes in general.
Right. I think so.
You can also upgrade your extractor to hold more people to extract, but you'll never find one.
I found one. The one they
force you to...
Yeah, the tutorial one. Oh, no, actually, I found another because I picked up a dude and left with him once.
Well, they say, like, it's like, if you crouch in, like, right before they're killed, that you'll be able to...
You can pick up their corpse, dude.
No, it's...
I've done that. I killed them and picked up their corpse and left with them. I was actually annoyed because I didn't get a chance to fully plunder their thing and before, because I thought, because one of the tutorials said you could stick them in the train, and I thought that I could throw them in the train, but instead I just left with them.
But it's not the corpses. They will become near death at random. The corpses will melt away if you kill them. If they become near death, then they leave a body for you to pick up. You may have just gotten luckier.
That's weird because every enemy that I killed left a corpse. But maybe it's just because I had to beat him to death with my fists because I had no weapons.
That's that's a good point. Maybe the fists have a better chance of incapacitating.
Yeah, maybe if you just kill him with your fists, it'll just leave a body instead of a corpse. I don't know. Yeah. But I definitely for sure had all of them down as corpses because I was fighting them with my fists because I had no weapons.
I see.
I was actually like a little disappointed that they didn't drop weapons for me because I was like, oh
yeah,
man.
you probably shouldn't go into Tokyo Death Metro without any
That's
weapons.
all I had, and I was in the tutorial.
Oh, okay, right.
So I didn't go out of my way to do Tokyo Death with no weapons. It's just it happened that way, and I was kind of like, oh, I guess I'm doing this bare-fisted, and I was able to kill all of them because, like I said, if you have enough patience, you can win no matter what. For 90% of the cases.
The problem with like that tutorial battle gave you no time limit, but the problem with trying to have patience in Tokyo Death Battle is that Tokyo Death Metro is that you have a 3-minute time limit.
Oh, and that's why there is a time limit for sure.
Yeah.
But
so
I feel like
kite them around like
I feel like you could still probably kill 1 or 2 of them bare-fisted if you had to, and just leave with the dude, because it's not like you don't get anything for just kidnapping dudes. So
yeah.
But again,
you actually get quite a bit of splithium if your defenses are good.
Yeah.
Like you get it as long as somebody else doesn't raid you and free him. So
actually one of my favorite things about the game is that it has this PvE PvP element to it. Because I don't really enjoy, like, I'm getting to the point where I'm just kind of sick of a lot of PvP. And I kind of like
actual PvP.
Yeah, actual PvP. And so I like PvE interpretations of PvP, even if it often is kind of, I don't know, messed with a little bit because of the PvP or the paid elements.
Yeah.
So, and I don't really like, I haven't played it enough to really know how much it interferes with it or influences it or whatever. So I can't say on that. But
so as far as PvP, what I was reading was that the paid elements don't really factor in so much because a lot of the paid elements are very similar to Warframe in the vein that they are pay to skip.
Right.
Meaning you skip things and your character gets more powerful and you get more powerful, but really, as such you are matched with more powerful people.
But really you don't know how much, like, if you skip enough, you still get an advantage. If you skip enough, you can build up enough of an advantage that it might influence it. In this case, I don't know, maybe it does just better matchmake you with people or whatever. But when you're fighting like Arkansas that has 10 people in it, maybe maybe that makes a difference. Right.
Yeah, see that
is a cool thing, but
here's a really cool thing about Tokyo Death Metro to follow that point. There are fights that break out. So you are tied to a team, which is tied to a region. Now, you are not region locked. You can join whatever team you want. Naturally, I joined California. You joined Oregon.
I joined Arizona.
Yeah.
Although, in my defense, Arizona is actually one of the better ones, and I think it's because A is so high on the list that people... because you cannot tell me that Alaska is like one of the highest people because a lot of people live in Alaska. I just do not see that.
I have a theory about that, and it's that there's nothing to do in Alaska except for play Let It Die.
But Alaska is the #1 server on the list. I think that a large percentage just picked the first one. So there's no way you can tell me that many people in Alaska are playing Let It Die.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
And Arizona is pretty high up on the list. I think it could either be because, internet's pretty good here, or that, it's pretty high up on the list, so it's like, I don't want to be Alaska, but I'll be the third one, right?
California is also pretty high on the list.
California's pretty high, but that one probably is because people are playing.
California has a huge population, and
especially people who play video games.
I feel like people in a lot of states or even countries will be like, I don't care to represent my country. But people in California are just like that. They're like, yeah, California life.
I feel
I'll have you know that there are at least 50 people who play in Oregon.
And there were 10 when I started.
And I feel like most people in Arizona don't care enough about Arizona to represent Arizona. I feel like even people who live in Phoenix say, I'm from Minnesota. They don't say I'm from Phoenix typically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'll talk about where their family's from, and most people, it feels like, don't come from here. So
I want to point out one of the things, like I'm on the California team. It's one of the bigger teams in the game. I want to point out one of the annoying things is that we lose fights 100% of the time. So we'll get into a
Yes,
battle
right,
with
bitch,
another
we beat you.
We'll get into a battle with another region,
Oregon.
right? And there
Kick
is
your ass.
not even Oregon. Let's say Arkansas, or
Say
not
Oregon.
Arkansas. Let's say Illinois, right? We'll get into a battle with Illinois, and Illinois has 7 fucking people in it, and California has 800. So when I see, oh, I'm in a fight with Illinois, I go to my list, and then I look at all of the Illinois people, of which there are either 0 or 1 people to attack in Illinois. But if you're in Illinois and you're one of the 7 people who is attacking California, every single fucking person on your list is somebody to attack from California. So you get to attack over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Ah, yes, that feels like winning by percentages.
Mm-hmm. It's like winning by percentages, but the opposite, because you have more opportunities to attack and deal damage to the other team.
No, I feel like it's winning by percent. That's what I mean. Winning by percentages, as in, like, because you have so many people to attack, there's a larger base of people who are losing in California.
Yeah.
Whereas
exactly.
each individual matters more in
yeah, like all 7 people.
I don't know, Arkansas.
Yeah,
So,
all 7 people in Illinois. Yeah.
Fuck you. Oregon
Like-
wins. All 50 of us.
Like, yeah, Thel and I were both playing at a time where California and Oregon were in a fight, and I was like, I have nobody to attack from Oregon. And he's like, oh, I've just attacked 12 people from California.
Yeah, I had like a bunch of revenges because as one of the 2 people from Oregon, a lot of Californians
everybody
were
was attacking
me.
him, yeah.
Entire list of fucking
Yeah.
Californians that I could
So,
just be like, here we go.
So, like, you know, I didn't think that this PvP mode would be as fun, like quote unquote PvP mode would be as fun as it was to me. But I still didn't really rationalize it until we've just been talking about it now. But like, I spend a lot of time in that PvP mode because it gets you pretty good rewards. You know, it gets you like gold really fast, which you can use to buy stickers, which can just increase the power of your dudes.
Real quick, so your first login bonus or whatever they gave you for starting playing it, was yours that VIP pass?
Yeah, 3 one-day-long VIP passes.
Because mine was 20,000 credits.
Huh.
Mine was also 20,000 credits.
So
you know what?
I don't know.
I think I got the VIP passes out of one of those Uncle Prime boxes.
Right. I think I got even more money out of that probably. But okay.
I also
I was
been
just
getting
wondering.
Death Metal from Uncle Prime, which is really good.
I was just wondering because I didn't know if the game was more unbalanced because I had more credits or not. Because I feel like at least early on in the game, it's like there's no reason not to just pay to get my dude back. You know?
Yeah.
And it's like obviously if you're
pay,
deeper in the tower, it costs more. But like
you mean kill coins to get your guy back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Not like the Death Metal Resurrection. I feel like that's almost entirely worthless. I think
it really depends. I think it very depends on.
So here's the thing. I used it once because I was in the middle of the last boss and he was like 2 or 3 hits away from death and he got me. And I'm like, okay.
You get death medals for killing enemy haters, I believe.
No, you get Splithium for killing enemy haters. The only way to get death medal is by paying for it, or you have a chance to get it from your login bonus or the Uncle Prime boxes that you get daily. And when you are in a fight, depending on how well you personally do, you get death medal at the end of the fight.
I'm gonna be real.
Versus who? What fight?
Fight as in like a PvP fight, like California versus Oregon.
Oh, okay.
I raided enough Oregon and I got 2 death medal at the end of the fight. And pretty much the only thing I use the death medal on is to expand my storage because God, you need so much shit to keep the materials for R&D laying around.
I'm gonna be real. I spent my death medal to make my waiting room look like Halloween.
That's fair. That's also fair. That's a good use of it, right? Like spending paid currency on cosmetic boosts to make you look cooler. Like that's a really good, like I've all for paid cosmetics in free games. You know, that's one of the best ways you can monetize something. So
yeah,
like not best necessarily, but one of the least egregious ways. Yeah. I also like paid cosmetics. I feel like if you're gonna pay for anything, fuck it, might as well goddamn be cosmetics.
Apparently you can get them. Apparently you can also get them from quests. It looks like.
Oh yeah. There's some quests like it'll be like kill 100 haters. They're really hard quests. Like I know one of them that I have is go from floor 1 to floor 7 without dodging once or getting hit, killing every single enemy on the way for
Oh
one
yeah, I
death
saw
level.
some of those and I was like, yeah, I'll take eat 20 things, but there's no way I'm gonna get to level 20 without getting hit. So,
Yeah,
right. So
Quest, don't fuck up. What does that entail? You'll know.
is there anything else we want to mention right now before we go to break? Because I have to go to the bathroom really bad.
I don't think particularly. Hang on. I do actually want to say something just about Let It Die's general aesthetic, and it's something that Thel said to me that I had thought about a lot after he said it. It has the game overall, right? Like when you're in the tower and climbing, has this really like old school like Clive. Like a Clive Barker game, right? Like it's just horrible bleeding walls and my horrible
like an early Gen 7 turbo edgy game, like a Manhunt game.
Yeah,
like a Manhunt ripoff, basically,
except
Condemned.
all of the framing around it plays the entire thing off for laughs, right? Like, so you're fighting this horrible zombie with his rib cage sticking out, and he's like coming at you, and then you just take a buzzsaw and saw off the top of his head, and a little sticker of Uncle Death pops up, and it's like, "Good job, Senpai."
He's like, that was
epic."
radical.
Yeah, and so like the whole framing around the game lends to the horrible Clive Barker-esque theme. If it didn't have that framing, like the setting would be really, really boring. But because of the framing around the actual setting that you're in, it's like feels so cool. It's almost like a Tony Hawk game except with zombies. You know?
I would like it a little bit. I mean, I don't think it's bad, and I do like it, but it still has enough of that spooky horror game in it that makes me slow down even more.
Right.
And that's a problem. That's another problem I have with like Bloodborne and Surge and whatever. And basically every game that is a Dark Souls like tends to carry along with it that horror genre theme. And I think when I'm afraid of being spooked and with atmosphere and whatever, it also makes me slow down, which makes me not enjoy it as much too.
Right.
Because I don't like horror games that much, honestly.
So from a game design standpoint, though, I think that's kind of a good thing, right? Like the atmospheric horror in it, making you like forcing you to slow down. I personally don't feel like Let It Die forces me to slow down. I feel like it forces me to speed up because I want to do all this cool shit. Like I said, it feels almost like a Tony Hawk game. I want to do as much cool shit in as small of a time frame as possible, to me. But in something like The Surge or Bloodborne or Dark Souls, I like the fact that death could be waiting around every corner, forcing you to slow down. I feel like is a good thing from a game design aspect because you are supposed to slow down. You are supposed to take in your surroundings and see what is waiting to kill you. And so you don't have to do this memory game that some people seem to think Dark Souls likes are like, and they aren't necessarily. You just have to be aware. And forcing you to slow down lends to your awareness.
I don't know. I don't think it's... I don't necessarily agree that it's good design, but I don't think it's bad design either. I just think it's design.
It's the way that it's designed. Yeah.
And I just don't like it that much.
I want a Dark Souls with Hat and Times aesthetic.
Yeah, I really would like a game with like very heavy methodical combat that was more bright and colorful and energetic instead. But again, I might bounce off it anyway because I just don't know that I like slow combat.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Honestly, I don't, and that was like why I'm really surprised that I liked this game as much as I did, because I put a ton of time.
And this is a game that I really feel like I don't hate it, and I feel like that in a way that might be funny praise, but like I kind of hate Dark Souls. You know? Right,
I almost expected you to hate it. Like I said you should play it so that we could talk about it.
Yeah,
but I expected you to not necessarily hate it, but just be like, I really don't like this. It's not for me.
You're probably you're probably a little surprised that I'm as positive on it as I am, aren't you?
Yeah, I definitely am, because I was like waiting to hear your criticisms with it, because I know that especially with things you dislike, you look at it with a really critical eye. So like I wanted to hear what your thoughts on it were, because I like it so much that I kind of look past the criticisms. Like that thing with
and everybody kind of does that. So yeah.
Yeah. And I knew I would like it. You know, from the moment it came out on PS4, I was like, the day it came out on PS4, I was like, is it on PC? No. When's it gonna be on PC?
You know, and that's kind of a funny thing. Like, my first experience with the game actually was watching you stream it. So I totally didn't even know that the game was 3D. Like, honestly. Oh. I thought it was 2D from what I had heard of it, which is kind of really funny in retrospect.
One of the funny things about the title screen is the title screen is totally like an homage to like Castlevania almost. Like the title screen looks like an arcade game. Yeah, or Conan. It looks like an arcade game because it's supposed to. Because as far as the game is concerned, you are playing a game where you are controlling a character who is sitting in an arcade and playing a game.
Yeah. That framing's always fun. But I think what it actually was for me was and this is probably like of all people to be making this kind of assumption, like I feel like I shouldn't be the kind of person making this assumption. But when I heard about this game first, because I heard a conversation on another podcast about it. When I first heard about it, I thought it was a 2D top-down action roguelike, like based on it being a roguelike, I think.
Right.
That makes sense. And I know that that is totally reductive, and that is like of all people to be making that kind of assumption. Like I'm probably like the most person who shouldn't be making that, but I don't know. Everything I heard about it, that's what I pictured. So actually seeing it in action, I was like, oh, this game is not at all what I thought it was.
Yeah. So like, I knew it was a Dark Souls like, right? But when it came out on PS4, when it came out on PS4, I watched another streamer play it, and this is a streamer who basically streams just gameplay, no voice, nothing. They just stream gameplay, and they're very successful, which is kind of surprising to me. But like when I was watching them play it, I was like, I saw them go up an elevator and then just start fucking on dudes. And I was like, I have no idea what's going on. I am not going to gather anything about this game from watching them play this. And I watched them for like, a half hour or so. And this was like a year ago. And now that I have gotten an experience, like gotten the chance to play the game myself, thinking back to like release day, watching somebody play this game on PS4 and thinking, I have no idea what's going on. I totally knew everything that was going on. That is exactly what the game was. Right. It was exactly what I was watching. You go up an elevator and you just start fucking on dudes. And it's like, it's like Dark Souls combat condensed kind of into.
You know what I would actually like?
Simple, yeah. That's one of the things I also really like about this game.
I kind of wish
like a simple version of Dark Souls.
Yeah. I kind of wish this would rip one thing off of Bloodborne, though. I wish that it had the mechanic where you could get health back by attacking after you had been hit. Because in Bloodborne, when you get hit, it slow burns the health, so you can get a lot of the percentage of health back by pressing the advantage.
That's pretty cool. So it's like how Monster Hunter has that red health, and except you can get it back by attacking.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that it makes it so that you have to speed up in combat, because if you get hit, a lot of times you'll be dead. You'll be dead, but not dead yet. So in order to live, you need to continue attack it and get back into it.
That's actually really cool.
It's
I didn't
honestly
know that you
one
could,
of my
lose all of your health.
It's honestly one of my favorite Well, you can still get instant killed, but depending on the attack, it'll I think you can get overkilled enough that it'll just kill you. But it's one of my favorite things about Bloodborne's combat. It totally changes how the actual combat works.
Right. And that's one of the things that I've never played Bloodborne because I don't have a PlayStation, but that's one of the things that I was hearing about Bloodborne compared to Dark Souls, and have for all this time, of course.
Yeah, it feels like
that
Bloodborne is such a good refinement of
it's
what
much
Dark Souls
faster
is.
paced, right? And maybe that's one of the things that I really like about Let It Die, right? In Dark Souls, one of the best strategies you can do for beating the base game, not including PvP or anything like that, one of the best strategies you can do for beating the base game is have a shield with 100% block, and you block their attacks instead of dodging them. And in Bloodborne, I know that I think there's what I was hearing was there's like one weapon in Bloodborne that is a shield, and it sucks so much dick that if you use it, you're dumb.
I wasn't even aware that there was a shield. I just assumed there wasn't.
Yeah, I think there's a shield that is literally a joke weapon. Like, you block with it and it does nothing.
Yeah, because that game, you have your one-handed weapon. Mm-hmm. It can transform into a two-handed weapon, and then you also have a gun. So you can interrupt attacks by shooting them in the middle of combat, but that has a limited resource, so you can't just do that forever.
Right, and so that's one of the things that I was hearing that I liked about Bloodborne, and I think that now that I'm thinking about it is one of the things that I like about Let It Die. Like, the game isn't about just standing there holding your block until you see an opportunity. Like, in fact, holding your block it's really good when the NPCs do it against you because it wastes your limited resource, but when you do it against NPCs, you're just losing health and not gaining anything.
Right. So I think that yeah, I really wish it had that mechanic, because one of the reasons why I think Bloodborne is just like better in some ways than Dark Souls is it still has that methodical combat, but because of just different tweaks in the actual fighting part, it forces you to behave differently. And I think that Let It Die would be better off if it took a couple of the notes from Bloodborne to make the actual combat part faster, because as it is, like, I feel like it is more like Dark Souls, and that is very slow and methodical, and that kind of holds it back for me personally.
Right. Understandable. I feel like I haven't played Bloodborne, but like now that I've kind of come to this realization, I feel I've played every Dark Souls game 3 or 4 times, right? So I am very well experienced in how you play Dark Souls. I feel like Bloodborne does have a much faster pace, not Bloodborne, Let It Die does have a much faster pace to it, and I feel like that is entirely attributed to the lack of a true blocking mechanic. Like, you can parry, yes, and you can only parry at very certain points, or like with the iron gets a parry, which is really, really good. But if you're going to block, you might as well parry. You're not going to be standing there and waiting, like you might be baiting out an enemy attack and avoiding it, but you're not going to be baiting out an enemy attack onto your shield to bounce off to counterattack it. You're going to be looking for very small openings in the enemy's attack pattern to really take advantage and get the most damage you can against haters. And then against trash mobs, I mean, like, every game has to have trash mobs. A lot of the mobs that I'm fighting right now, I'll just be like, okay, well, they might be trying to attack me, and if they hit me, whatever, but I'm just gonna stun lock them to death in 3 hits anyway. So like, it really has that good game. And then the bosses, right? I fought a few bosses, and the bosses feel really unique. Like, you've only fought the one, and Cohen is not a particularly unique boss.
Also,
he
he's
just
a
kind of
baby who
charges
you
that.
beat the shit out of in 2 hits.
Yeah. But the other couple of bosses, one of them is like a ranged lady that teleports all over the place, so you have to hide behind pillars to avoid her attacks and stuff.
And wait until she teleports behind you.
And
so you
again,
hit her with a
look,
hammer.
it's all about looking for openings, and Dark Souls is also about looking for openings, but in this game, you kind of have to know when the opening starts. God, it's so hard to describe. I don't know. It's
no,
like,
I get what you're saying, and I think what you were saying makes sense. But generally, that just goes to like good boss design and good design within the confines of a slow, methodical system. I think all that makes sense. Having played Bloodborne is still the fastest of them. Right. Sure. Yeah. Easily. I'm sure. But it just has to do with enemies don't really have block either. And I think that makes a huge, huge difference. Yeah.
Fuck am I been sleeping on goddamn Bloodborne? I mean, I don't have a PS4, but what the fuck have been sleeping on goddamn Bloodborne? Talking about it like it's the goddamn. That shit sounds like I'd love it. I mean, one of the things that I was really
also it is heavily steeped in Cthulhu mythos. Not like that's straight Cthulhu mythos, but like cosmic horror as opposed to Dark Souls, which is mostly gothic horror.
Yeah,
and like kind of the insanity kind of thing.
Yeah. One of the things that I really do like about Dark Souls is the way that it presents its lore. Right. Through that very, very like the world tells the story. And it's like I feel like I would be more interested in Dark Souls if it was Bloodborne.
Yeah. Dark Souls is as far as I don't want to get too far into this, but I have like looked very deeply into Dark Souls' lore and stuff, and really all of the lore just comes from theories, fan theories, right? It's one of those games where you can tell, like, yes, the designer put in like these interesting little seeds of stuff, and yes, some of the fan theories are absolutely correct, like Black Iron.
I don't really want to get too deep into this because
but
I do really still have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, fair. It's essentially though, like that lore you're talking about. It's a lot of it's just fan theories, and there's no real substantial.
But again, that's some of the stuff that I like in like Yume Nikki and Hollow Knight.
Yeah, but I get what Thel's saying is a lot of the lore, quote unquote, is like breadcrumb stuff that's left on item descriptions and stuff. So
right,
it is. I totally get that. It is interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, final thoughts on Let It Die. I really like the atmosphere that it's built up with its like dichotomy of actual horror and just radical Tony Hawk bullshit. I really like the gameplay. I feel like it strikes a good balance between Dark Souls' like very slow methodical gameplay and speeding it up enough to matter more so than just blocking until you win.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Like,
I feel like I like the framing device of a roguelike in a Dark Souls better because that gives me a lot of chances to test out the weapon, and it doesn't feel like if I die, I feel like I don't lose very much because I can just go back and kill myself again, and that's like fine.
Or pay money to recover your stuff,
or just lose it forever and not give a shit. Right. I feel like there's a reason to go back and grind more rather than I need to fight this boss, so I need to have more souls so I can level up. It's like, oh, I want to do the PvP stuff, so I gotta level these guys up so they can defend my shit and give me more souls for killing assholes who want to fuck my shit up.
If your dude gets captured, do they become unavailable to you?
Nope.
Yes.
Oh, do they?
Yes. If your dude is captured, they are not a defender until somebody frees them.
Oh no, I mean, can you play as them still?
No, you cannot.
You can't. Okay.
They do not exist in your world. Like it will show it, and that slot is locked. It will show a captured slot. I know that because I've had a dude captured while I was playing, and I was like, well, I wasn't using him anyway. I went and played, and then it said fight, and then I got a notification that my fighter was freed by somebody else. So.
Oh no! So yeah, no, that can happen. I just don't know if you have access to them in the meantime.
No, you don't.
Okay.
I have experienced it. You don't have access to them while they are being extracted upon in somebody's bathroom.
Okay. My general thoughts are, I think it's a good game, and I can see the appeal of it, but I don't think it's for me. I might put a little bit more time into it to see if I get past some of my issues, but I'm not convinced I'd really play this much.
Maybe saying if you can force yourself to do it, see if you can get past the first boss, maybe floor 12 or 13, where you start unlocking more weapons like the assault rifle, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think having guns would be nice.
Yeah. The assault rifle is really fun because it turns the game into a first-person shooter. Last little note that I really liked, I was playing with the controller, but the assault rifle is a two-handed weapon, and I was like, okay, it's more efficient to aim at their head because you can get headshots with your aimed weapons, but I'm really bad at aiming with a controller, especially because I'm using a Steam controller. So I was moving with my thumbs. You told me you did this in old first-person shooters, Saine.
Oh yeah, I did that in Call of Duty.
With my thumbstick, and I moved over to my mouse to hold on and aim with the assault rifle at somebody's head to shoot them in the head.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
Yeah.
You use the analog stick to drive and then the mouse to shoot.
Yeah.
I don't like the mouse control, like the mouse and keyboard controls. I don't like that there's no mouse menu control. That's really annoying.
The mouse and menu control were just fucking awful.
Press R to go to your options menu.
Yeah, no, I was so confused for so long because I didn't know how to get to the options menu because escape did nothing.
Yeah,
so I had
why
to plug
the
in
fuck
my
would
controller.
they not tie that to escape?
I had to plug my controller in to look at the options menu so that I could see that the option menu is open with R.
Yeah.
I don't think the mouse and keyboard controls are that bad otherwise, like in terms of playing. Like, I think it's fine if functions just as well as Surge, and I thought Surge was pretty good.
Yeah.
But
one thing about the mouse and keyboard controls that I would change, and this is probably, I don't think I know this about either of you. Are either of you left-handed?
No.
Okay. Well, this is probably just because I'm right-handed. It might be different for a lefty, but the mouse and keyboard, like, left click fires your left weapon, which is the one that is in your offhand. I would swap.
I swap them. In any game that I can, I do swap those two. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that's just
but that
that's
messes
just
up confirm a lot of times in games like this.
Yeah.
Which is annoying.
It's a here's the real thing about mouse and keyboard controls. It's a Japanese developer, and the Japanese don't think that PC is for video games. So
I just want them to play one,
unless they're Square or Capcom.
Exactly.
Yeah. I just want like Japanese developers. Well, the Monster Hunter did it kind of very bad with But
that one was weird. That one was an anomaly because most Capcom games work pretty well.
They have been working on that, so
and they actually have been working on that.
And I feel like that might be more of Monster Hunter is a studio that makes Monster Hunter,
right?
Whereas the rest of Capcom studios makes Capcom games. Whereas I think Monster Hunter makes Monster Hunter games for Capcom, which is kind of
exactly.
And I just want Japanese developers to play one PC game, just one, just any PC game. I only like a very specific one. I just want them to play a PC game and notice that certain buttons are very obviously mapped to do certain things.
Yeah.
But I think like Square,
just go play Half-Life or something.
I think Square, at least with the things that aren't ports, do a good job.
Yeah,
because like Final Fantasy, or Deus Ex, like those all work fine. But certain like Secret of Mana and that stuff is kind of terrible. But that's weird.
It's like
ports.
a different thing, yeah.
So, yeah, basically, closing thoughts on Let It Die. All of us pretty much feel that it's a good game. Saine, you don't think it's really for you. I think it's really, really for me. And Thel, you're a little hotter on it than you are in Dark Souls, right? Is that a good summation?
In Dark Souls, I fell off super, super hard. In this game, I don't feel like I'm going to fall off it nearly. I might fall off it, but not like.
Yeah, you might like stop because I have other things to do.
I'm gonna go play RimWorld instead.
With this game, I'm probably gonna be playing it right up until Fallout 76 comes out, where that.
It is kind of weird though that I really, really love roguelike type games, and that wasn't even enough to draw me in.
Yeah,
and this is very roguelite though. So
yeah,
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Roguelite games. I like roguelike and roguelike games, but anyway, why don't we go to break? I want to give us a little bit more time, so 5:45.
Sounds good.
All right, we will be back in a little bit. Okay, we're back. So for the second half of the show, we're gonna check out some. We're gonna talk about some news.
The podcast is coming.
I tell them to shut up before we start because
because we always talk over the fucking cuts.
Because it's kind of jarring if I'm unmuting things one at a time and like suddenly you're in the middle of saying something or making some weird noise or something.
Biggest problem is that my ass itched for like 20 days after that, so I don't know what's up.
So
anyway, go on.
I think we should start with movie news because we have a bit less of that. And I think that we might get in conversations based on some of the topics in the other one. So, start with movie news.
So, movie noise.
Movie noise.
So, the first one is that this one's a lot of fun. the Friday the 13th rights go fucking crazy as a lawsuit ends, giving a man, Victor Miller, the rights to the original Friday the 13th script. Now, this is a bit of a problem because originally it didn't go over to the scriptwriter. Miller was the producer, and he was the one who it was decided that he would get the screenplay rights, and so he could feasibly produce a movie. Excuse me. About Friday the 13th because he has the full rights, but he does not necessarily have the rights to Jason and the hockey mask because those weren't in the first movie.
Oh,
that was
shit.
about Jason's mom.
Oh, that's
So-
true.
We might have like a Crystal Lake-based movie that has nothing to do with Jason. Well, that has like Jason shows up in the first movie as like a zombie kid that jumps out of the lake and attacks the lady, and she goes to the hospital.
That's crazy.
That is
That'd
weird,
be
isn't it?
cool. I don't know. That sounds interesting to me.
Yeah, I feel like
So
one of
now the
things-
question: he doesn't have the rights to like the hockey mask and the design of Jason, but does he have the rights to the character of Jason?
No, that's the thing. He kind of doesn't.
Well, he
Right.
could probably
Like
have.
he doesn't have the character of the adult Jason.
He
He's
could
like
have a
the-
different Jason, so there could be a
Yeah.
Jason, but it wouldn't be that Jason. Well, he might be a zombie
Yeah.
dude, but it won't be
Yeah.
like hockey mask slasher Jason.
Yeah.
So they'd have
Well,
to
that's-
reinterpret him somehow, and he would have to be
So
different
in other
enough.
words, the Jason timeline would split off into young
Exactly.
Jason and old
Yeah.
Jason.
Exactly.
And
here's-
young
Here-
and if young Jason kills Ganon, then it goes into the Twilight Princess timeline. But if old Jason kills Ganon,
Then it goes in the Wind
Well,
Waker timeline.
Right.
Here's what I'm hoping. One of the things, like, last year for our Halloween movies, we did zombies, and so we watched a couple of the Friday the 13th movies. Specifically because one of the days was Friday the 13th, and
Yeah, that was a
happened
really
in
good
October.
idea.
I think we watched the second one and Jason X.
Jason X, yeah.
it should have
Oh.
just been Friday the 13th movies that day. Honestly,
Yeah, we had to get through some other zombie
it's
movies.
true.
But the thing is, one of the things that I remarked is like, I'm kind of sad that the Friday the 13th became like a huge franchise and followed Jason, rather than just being increasingly angry 40-year-old women who become serial killers. That would have been wonderful. Joanne fucking got pissed off at the supermarket because they wouldn't let her take her bags out, or like they didn't give her plastic bags. So she goes on a fucking killing spree through the neighborhood.
Please
Great.
stop! Thel,
You
stop!
might-
You're scaring me.
See, you might get your way now.
I might get my 40-year-old serial killer.
That was the most terrifying sentence I've ever heard in my life. Some 40-year-old woman is pissed off that she has to pay for plastic bags, so she goes on a killing spree. I could actually die.
She has time to pick the kids up for school, make dinner, and murder. I want that. I want that dumb ass bullshit. If you're gonna make like a ton of dumb sequels, you might as well make them increasingly dumb. God damn it.
Okay.
So yeah, that was that.
I was trying to figure out what the topic of this actually is. This next one.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. For some reason, the article doesn't list it. So speaking of zombie movies, it is the 50th anniversary at time of the podcast's recording of Night of the Living Dead. Happy birthday!
Woo!
I should have I should have wore my Night of the Living Dead shirt.
Yeah.
Damn it, Saine.
I
Well,
wear that
you-
shirt on the podcast all the time, and I actually saw it.
Yeah.
I was like, I wear that one too often. I should probably wear something
Yeah.
else.
You
Even if
know,
it is Halloween.
Sometimes I feel like I'm streaming in the same outfit too often because I have a very limited wardrobe, because I have limited wardrobe space. But then every time we do the podcast, I see Thel in a black.
This time I'm
Something?
wearing a completely different black sweater. It's like
Yeah,
this
it's a
one's
completely
like a
different
Columbia black sweater. I have like a closet filled with multitudes of miscellaneously black clothing.
Saine's always
They're all
got
very different.
Sane's always got cool shirts and cool hair and cool stuff in his background, and Thel's wearing black. And I'm wearing one of 3 outfits to choose from in Action Dalsson's action figure.
Yeah.
Available now on Nowhere.
That's probably
Yeah.
fine.
The next thing is, you remember that joke in Futurama where Fry went to the movie theater and watched Calculon the movie and was like, choose whether you want Calculon to do his taxes or get in an incredible action scene. Netflix is doing that.
Yes.
Why? Fuck you.
I don't
Why
think that's
not?
I don't think that's a bad idea. People really
I don't
like
think
choose
that's like
your
a
own
terrible
adventure
idea
books.
or anything. It's
As
a little bit
long
silly,
as long as
honestly,
it's
but...
not the way, I don't think it's even silly. As long as it's not the way that all media goes, like
yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
I feel like
really
it.
I know, bitch. I know you guys had to have read like at least 10 of the Choose Your Own Adventure Goosebumps books, and they were some of the best shit ever.
I feel like it really depends on the particular property. I think that
exactly.
So it as long as they don't do that to a bunch of stuff or things that I care about, then I probably won't mind. Like, I don't want them to suddenly do what happens in the next season of BoJack. I'd be pretty disappointed about that.
Or happy.
Depressed.
Who do you want to be more depressed, BoJack, Diane, or Princess Carolyn?
BoJack.
Fuck Diane after that last season.
You've chosen Diane. I just hate myself and want to kill myself. I guess that's what's going to be the problem that Diane has to face now. Shit. So yeah, they're going to start doing this with Black Mirror.
Okay.
That is the...
Okay,
you know,
I mean, I feel like that's a good one to start with, yeah.
That is the perfect one to start with.
I feel like of all of them, that one makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense because Black Mirror's entire concept is the way that technology can fuck things up. And so...
And you can fuck up the story now.
Allowing you, as the viewer, using technology to view the thing about technology fucking things up, can fuck the things up.
So it probably wouldn't even be that big a deal if it fucked it up.
Yeah.
The British man that they have in a locker that they feed constantly pot, just one day was like, what if you telly, right? You could choose what happens at the end of the show. Like if Netflix had like instead of next episode, next ending. Oh shit, bruh. So that's how we're, and here we are.
That, like, I didn't actually, like, read the entire article. I kind of skimmed the headlines for a lot of this because I don't have time to read all of the articles before the podcast. But, man, I really, like, Black Mirror is, like, you guys don't seem to be as blown away by this as I do, but Black Mirror really seems like the perfect place to introduce this concept.
No, I agree with you. I just don't care that much.
Even if they just keep it to Black Mirror, I feel like Black Mirror is like that's a show that could really pull this off, you know? Especially like having watched it on Netflix, having watched the like knowing the point where Netflix took it over. Like they went to
where suddenly everyone wasn't British anymore.
Yeah, where suddenly everyone wasn't British anymore. Knowing the point where Netflix took it over, yeah, I don't know, Netflix took it almost in a different direction than the BBC did.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like when Netflix
gave it a lot more liberties. Yeah, they gave it a lot more liberties than the BBC did. Like the final season or the final episode of the Netflix season where they went back through a lot of the
Well, anyway, let's move on because
there's
no reason to get into it, and we are already over time, so I want to speed up a little bit.
Okay, next one.
This was the thing I posted.
This is what I noticed yesterday. Because I saw like 3 separate articles that were this. Fox has pushed back like 3 movies, one of which was Attila the Battle Angel, hun. And also Dark Phoenix and Gambit. And I swear to gosh, another movie was pushed back too.
Okay, hold on. The funny thing about
2 X-Men movies.
Well, give that a moment. Let's just let that percolate for a second. Okay. But the funny thing about the Dark Phoenix one is they just released the trailer a day before, saying it was coming out in February, and then they immediately pushed it back.
Why?
Well, because Dark
Wow.
Phoenix is because 20th Century Fox owns them and Disney. I don't know why they wouldn't change it for the trailer, but someone messed up somewhere. So the other thing it says is they're talking about re-releasing a PG-13 cut of Deadpool 2.
Why?
Well,
It's a very good question.
no, that like even if okay, I don't like if they I just don't understand.
Yeah.
Like
If you were going to do this, you would want to do that in the theater so you get bigger box office
Deadpool
results.
2 is already a movie.
Well, yeah, that too. Like, it's
Like I don't understand.
Like
the
Releasing
logic
it-
behind this.
releasing a movie to PG-13 in theaters means that that teenagers are not disallowed from. Let's be honest, a lot of theater workers probably don't care, but
I
some
don't think
theaters
anyone
do.
cares,
Teenagers are not disallowed from seeing it without their
Can you
parents.
shut up, Rex? Jeez.
Releasing it into a theater at PG-13 means that there are more potential. There's a larger potential pool of people to see it because I mean, let's be honest. Yeah, a lot of teenagers sit at home on the internet. A lot of teenagers go out and see movies when they come out. So, if they can see it without their parents,
Yeah, but I think
permission-
Deadpool 2 is already the highest-grossing R-rated film ever.
it was. So
what's
releasing
that-
it on DVD as PG-13 or whatever, re-releasing it as PG-13 is pointless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Children can buy R-rated movies, they just can't get into R-rated movies sometimes.
Yeah.
At the theater. Like you can buy an R-rated movie no matter how old you are. Like why release a PG-13 cut? There's no point.
It literally makes no sense. I don't know.
Yeah, I completely agree. The fuck? I mean,
Whoa, Thel. Whoa.
Oh, it's single day. So it beat the record for single day
yeah.
record for
Relax
a rated
there,
R
Phil.
movie.
Yeah, what?
That was not a good moment to use your singular fuck that you're allowed to use.
Shit. That was another thing about 8th grade I really liked. All the kids said fuck.
Because they do.
Because they do. Yeah.
It's third ever, but it has the record for highest first day.
First day, yeah.
Good.
It's
All right.
behind.
Good.
It's behind the first Deadpool and Matrix.
Right.
So actually, the first Deadpool is the highest rated. But I don't understand why even do this unless it's just a joke that Fox is just putting out an information that like is just a joke because like
Or maybe they
all of
release
this
the
stuff
movie-
is gonna change anyway, probably when Disney owns it.
Or maybe they actually do release the movie as PG-13, and the whole cut is a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's something that only
I mean,
Deadpool
I could see they
do.
could do that. Yeah,
I
maybe.
see that.
Like they could even edit a couple scenes where Deadpool's like, "Oh,
Frick.
frick."
Oh, corporate
Darn.
friendly word that I have to say.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I could see it. Like
Actually, I don't even think it's the swearing that they have to deal with. It's like
The violence.
no, well, the sex stuff because they
Oh, yeah.
they like probably need to cut out when they were talking about him like masturbating with the plush animal and stuff. Like it's probably that stuff they have to actually worry about.
Deadpool looks at the camera and is like, "Man, I really want to have intercourse with that girl, but because this is a PG-13 cut, I just can't. So instead, have a puppet show."
Honestly, it would be easier to make Deadpool 2 PG-13 than it would be Deadpool 1.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
Deadpool 2 was a bit more serious. So
Yeah, and Deadpool 2 very much took like the entire idea of it was to be like a raunchy fucking comedy. It was like a superhero movie, but it was a raunchy comedy, and it was like that's the point. Yeah.
anyway,
Which is
that's
great.
strange as
It's
hell.
not
But let's move on.
Yeah, it was whatever.
Yeah.
The next thing
also-
coming up is
Also, I wrote 30th Century Fox this whole time because I was thinking of Futurama. I think.
God.
anyway. So the next thing, Roman Polanski, a man who is famous for having raped a 13-year-old in the 70s and being found guilty about that, creates a movie called J'accuse, which will be about a wrongly convicted man. Needless to say, he is facing flack for this. That's all I have to say about that.
He looks like a pedophile. I'm just looking at the article picture here, and they picked the most looking like a pedophile.
I don't know. He just looks like a kind of older George Clooney to me.
He kind of does. An older,
I don't know.
sadder George Clooney.
I don't know. He looks like an older, sadder George Clooney who isn't hot in the slightest.
Yeah, understandable. Completely agree.
Here's the. I have the image visible. This is Roman Polanski, right?
Wait a second. Hold on. Don't you guys mean George Clooners?
Oh, whatever.
No.
Oh, okay.
George Clooney, but he's a dog.
George Clooney, but he's a dog.
But he's like a dog or something. Okay, so
Yeah, and that's it.
All right.
why don't we talk about? Let's talk about microtransactions.
Okay.
You love that, right?
Yeah.
I have something to say. I have something to say about this, but you introduce it.
All right, so the new Devil May Cry game, number 5, is having microtransaction or micro payments for buying currency stuff for the game. So it's basically your experience points, I think, right?
It's your blue orbs which you use to upgrade your special moves traditionally. Now, here's what I have to say about this. I don't know if the article mentions this, but Devil May Cry 4 also had the same thing. You could buy blue orbs to upgrade your moves faster.
Yeah, but
nobody did it.
But that doesn't matter.
It doesn't forgive the concept of just paying to skip the game, basically. Like, paying to skip a single-player game is a little funky, you know? Like, when you pay to skip in Warframe, it's like, okay, I've paid to skip, and now I'm at the power level that other players are. And I still have to do a little bit of a grind, but I don't have to wait 12 hours to unlock my Warframe. When you pay to skip in Devil May Cry, it's like, why are you doing this? Why don't you just play the game? It's a single player game. Or you're not grinding.
Or why isn't this just a cheat code?
Or why isn't this a cheat code? Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that, like, I didn't post this because I think this means the game is going to be bad, but it's like,
right.
This is just something that people can't get away with anymore because it's stupid.
Don't get me wrong. I am not defending single player microtransactions at all. Single player microtransactions are like awful. Unless it is a like a phone game, you know, it's already free if you want to pay to support the devs or pay to unlock your cool loot boxes. Like that's more forgivable because you didn't pay for the game. But if you pay for the game and then they put microtransactions in it, that's not forgivable. Do not get me wrong. But what I am saying about Devil May Cry 5 is this is not new. They did this in Devil May Cry 4.
Yeah, but I don't think it makes it any less of a controversy because with all of the added scrutiny on it, like right now, it's just another like people need to be upset about it so that they get the message.
Right.
Yeah.
I do think that people should be mad about this, should be tweeting about this, get on your fucking Tumblrs and tell everybody why Devil May Cry shouldn't have microtransactions, but what I do want to defend is the game itself. Devil May Cry 4 was really good, and it had this exact same style of microtransactions.
Yeah, but we don't have Devil May Cry 5 yet, so you can't say whether or not it affects it.
Exactly, but I can say that this does not automatically speak to the quality of the game just because they have microtransactions in it.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody's saying that.
Was good.
I don't think anyone's saying that necessarily. I think that it's just, it raises the further suspicion that it, you know, the experience or the way that you actually earn this currency in the game will be slowed down. That's always a worry. That's always the thing that people are worried about. Right. And I think that's still a valid complaint, and there's reasons to be upset about this. So I understand that, and but otherwise, the game's not out yet, so we can't really make any judgment at this point.
Right. And I don't think the game will be hindered by this because in Devil May Cry 4 it wasn't hindered by it. But I don't think it should exist at all. So like that's where I stand on it. I don't think the game will be.
Well, you don't have to keep repeating yourself.
Dragged down.
We get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've said the same thing like 4 different ways. Anyway, let's move on.
Okay.
So Fortnite. Okay,
No,
but
God.
PlayStation
Jesus.
4 is enabling crossplay in
okay.
Fortnite on a beta basis.
Right.
I don't remember when I heard this. I think this might have been news last week, but after Monday. So this has been a thing I forgot about that has been around. But yeah, so I don't know. PlayStation was kind of explaining themselves, saying that some of the reasons why they were so, I don't know, feet dragging on this is because they were worried about like experience stuff. So it's a bunch of like corporate bullshit explanations for we didn't
Right.
want to. So,
Right.
but you
We
know,
wanted people to play Fortnite on the PS4 and not.
On other things.
yeah. But I mean, in the end,
just wanna
you know,
believe
they're
us.
adding it to the game. You don't have to give them big pats on the back, but like
Yeah.
they did do something that they should have done forever ago, and they're finally doing
Yeah.
it. So I don't know.
And
That's
and
good. Still good
Speaking-
news.
Thanks for fixing your shit. It shouldn't have been broken, but thanks for fixing it.
Yeah. I mean, speaking to it wasn't broken. They just intentionally didn't do it. Speaking to
Yeah.
speaking to things, and this isn't like exactly a world first. Crossplays existed all the time, and PS4 has always refused to implement it. The article itself points to titles like Minecraft and Rocket League.
Yeah.
Rocket League specifically has a huge crossplay scene because
Well, yeah.
it's not one of those games that the PC controls get in the way of.
Yeah, it's
And-
not
and
that. It's not
PS4
that.
just said no.
Yeah, they have been pretty consistently not allowing this, but this is just the first game that they're doing this with, and they'll probably roll out crossplay to other titles later too.
Yeah.
So it's not like what?
I hope so, because like first person shooters are one thing. There's going to be a skill gap. Like Fortnite's shooting has nothing to do with skill and it's pretty much all luck. But in other types of games like Rocket League, like just having a larger player pool to match with will only be good for the game on every console.
And
you
not
know?
having it in Minecraft is just silly.
Yeah, it's like, what do you do in Minecraft? You build a fucking castle, like,
Especially vanilla Minecraft.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. This is something they should have fixed sooner, but it's good that it's here now.
yeah.
Additionally, I saw a thing separately that says Epic Games is going to give people the option to unlink their account with the PlayStation 4 version, because as it was up to this point, if you ever logged on to the PlayStation 4 version with an account, it got locked to PlayStation 4 forever. And you couldn't use it in other systems anymore. So even if you created it on the PlayStation, or if you created it on the PC, decided to try it on the PlayStation, it made it so that you could not play it on the PC anymore with that account, which is just stupid.
That's the worst.
That is
thing
like
I've
the
ever
worst
heard.
thing. Literally the worst. It's not like it was
How?
a separate account. It was like they would trap you when it was locked or linked.
Yeah.
But apparently Epic is also changing that and making it so you can unlink it, I guess.
Good.
Well, I'm glad that the dumbest fucking thing ever is something that they fixed too. You know, should do that.
Well, here's another dumb thing about Fortnite.
Oh,
Yep.
hell yes.
So apparently, they accidentally put boob physics in the game.
Quote unquote accidentally.
Well,
Now,
okay.
look,
Here's what
look.
happened. There was one. It was like with one cosmetic item. There were boob physics
like
on
one
it.
emote.
It's a dance, a Fortnite dance that one of the girl characters can do. Her boobs start jiggling around, and now this article actually has a video of the dance,
Yeah.
and the boobs are jiggling like, you know, maybe
I thought
they're
it was, like, with
vibrating.
a specific shirt. Like a specific shirt gives one of the characters boob physics.
Maybe, I don't know, but essentially what's happening is there are actually, like, relatively, for video game standpoints, relatively realistic boob physics. Like, she's jumping up and down and they're bouncing a little bit. They're kind of like jiggling around a little bit because she's jumping, right? And people were outraged about this, and they were like, oh, that was an accident. It's like, how do you go into your fucking animation program and accidentally select the boob model and accidentally create an animation for it when somebody's jumping around.
Are you kidding? Dalsson, like, come on. That is such a disingenuous argument. Like, they're the creators of Unreal Engine 4. Do you know how easy it would be to accidentally have the wrong, like, physics package plugged into it? Like, I totally accept at face value that this was an accident.
I do not. How could they possibly accidentally add specifically boob physics to a character? Like by entirely accident? Are there boob physics that were not?
I mean, maybe one developer who's working on Fortnite put them in, thinking that they're supposed to be when overall they're not supposed to be, but that's still an accident. That's something that
what it might be missed. Like an accident, right? What I think what might make this an accident, right? So Fortnite again originally was not going to be a huge battle royale thing. I think it might have something to do with like a previous incarnation of the game being a little bit different and having like.
I mean, that's a potential.
That's
a potential, but I don't necessarily think that's the case because I don't think this character was in the game when the game was that old.
Was in development earlier.
But I think it's one of those things like Unreal Engine, which is what Epic Games' engine.
Yeah.
They probably have like a bunch of default sliders, default packages that got left on. Like I could see it happening easy.
I don't know. Like, does it? Do you really think that the Unreal Engine has a slider for boob physics just already programmed?
I don't think it's
accidentally left on.
Yeah, I think that it has physics engine aspects to it that could be attached to a body part that they added, and they just didn't think about it. Like I totally could see that.
Epic Games is not like actively creating their own code for this game.
Okay,
they're using an engine.
Well, no, No, they are the designers of that engine.
Well,
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
exactly.
But so no, because if you're using your own tools, you can leave a setting on. Like, I don't think that...
Well, why would you accidentally leave the boob setting on and not, like, the arm flab setting on or the belly flab setting on for some of the fatter male characters?
But be realistic. Like, what part of the body could potentially use that kind of physics other than like the boobs? People don't care about the arm flabs. They might care about the belly depending on how they feel about that, but like boob physics is a thing that a lot of people put in their games. Like it makes sense to have a default preset thing for boobs. Like I totally could see this being an accident.
It does. And now this is a different argument that I'm making, but like, here's the lady is kind of going like, just kind of bouncing up and down. And so the article makes the argument, well, a lot of 8-year-olds are playing this game and 8-year-olds shouldn't know that boobs are existing. And it's like,
I think that was a little tongue in cheek.
Maybe.
But people are complaining about it. That's the point.
Yeah. And I feel like, I'm with you there. I feel like the complaints are done and the boobs are there.
Keep with me here, like keep with me here. It's not like Gynax boob physics where they're vibrating at 100 million miles per hour to allow a bullet to pass through them. It's like she's the girl is going and so they're jiggling around a little bit, just like the rest of her body is. Like I don't see where the complaints are coming from.
Look,
but I also
people complain about the dumbest shit. I would have never noticed or cared about this. I straight up, I don't think any of us would noticed or cared. I don't think any of us would have noticed. But someone somewhere did. Someone's 8-year-old mom did and complained about it.
But here's
someone's 8-year-old mom walked in and said, "Oh my god, are those boobs on your computer, Johnny?" Yeah.
Are those boobs on your computer?
And they want this game
by like 4 layers of cloth. How dare you?
40-year-old son.
And they want this game.
40-year-old son.
And they want this game to be E for everyone. And I think if they start having boob physics, it might push it into T, which is why they might not want to do that.
That also
I don't know,
is a
like
thing,
like
yeah.
like I kind of get that, right? But like at the same time, it's like I don't know, like not having that ever so slight movement there might make the characters feel more stiff. Maybe they just want the characters to look like they're moving more realistically. Like obviously the game is very cartoony, but but having like the entire character be statically going
Well, but at
like
the same
that.
time, it doesn't look like because the breasts are individual, they're jiggling on their own. When so that it's like they're not wearing a bra even.
Right.
Because they wouldn't jiggle like that if they were wearing a bra, so
sure, but like we may be looking at this from a game design standpoint, whereas like a normal person would be like, okay, sometimes boobs do that. Well, like we know that a game designer had to go in there and either forget to turn off the boob physics for whatever reason or intentionally add the boob physics, which I believe is what happened, because like I feel like this, and I quote, embarrassing and unintended boob physics were intentional and they backpedaled.
okay.
You may not agree with me.
No, I mean that's a possibility, but I sort of this whole conversation, I don't even know why we're stretching it out this long. I don't care. I just thought it was it's an embarrassing thing that they did.
It's
embarrassing to them.
I find it funny.
Titties in it.
I find it funny, like, yes, obviously it's embarrassing. I find it funny that they say it's unintentional, because I don't think it's unintentional. That's like my whole point here.
I don't know, it could be. That's the thing. Like I don't have any reason to not take at face value that they didn't want to have boob physics in it.
Right.
So like,
and it would make sense if they didn't want to, because they know that like
a large segment of their audience is under the age of 12. So
yeah.
Anyway,
large segment of their audience currently sucking on titty for nourishment. 3 months old playing Fortnite.
Let's move on. Discord is going to have a select number of games that are going to be timed exclusives. There are 7 upcoming PC games. I'll just list them real fast, I guess. Sinner Sacrifice for Redemption, Last Year, The Nightmare, Bad North, King of the Hat, At Sundown, Mad Machines, and Minion Masters. I'm not really going to go into any of those games specifically, but I just thought it was kind of news that there are going to be some PC timed exclusives for Discord. What do you guys think about that?
I think
neat,
it's
I guess.
I think it's kind of neat. I think that it's a good idea that Discord is kind of expanding its like horizons. At the same time, like reading this article, I don't know if it's just the way the article is written, but every single one of these games sounds like they're just kind of bad, right? Like
I wouldn't go that far, because like the thing is, I haven't really looked at any of these, so I can't make any determination from the titles. So
but what I'm saying is the article frames them as bad. Like Bad North is a stripped down RTS. Minion Masters is a minion battling card game. Like it just kind of reduces them to their base elements.
Okay, here's the thing. I think you need to read the articles less, not more. I'm just pulling out the raw information. I don't care about how they decide to spin stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Also, the second one says Sinner is a Souls-like game with seriously great art. So I don't see...
Okay.
Like,
yeah, that's fair.
I don't know. I think that we need to pay less attention to the actual like spin of the article and just look at the information there.
Yeah.
Right. Now that said, I really do think I think that Discord is a great program for voice over IP. They have done wonderful work, and like, yes, it fucks up sometimes, but I feel like most of the time that Discord fucks up, it's because of somebody's particular internet messing up more so than Discord. Sometimes their servers are kind of shitty, but everything will have that, right?
Yeah.
Discord is probably the best available voice over IP program, and I think that, you know, with their competition like Curse Voice or Skype only offers voice over IP. Curse Voice, or Curse in general, offers all of these extra things. And Steam, their voice client isn't really competition, but
Plus, I
they
think
do have a voice client.
Plus, I think
so-
Curse is more about PvP like voice and not friend voice. It's more like it's not lobby based. It's more like game based. But
right, exactly. So I think that Discord trying to expand into this market is probably a good thing for them, but it's so very early on that we'll just really have to see how it shakes out, you know?
Well, the only reason I thought this was notable to talk about was because it would mark the first time they have exclusive releases. And
exactly.
I'll like, just being honest, I don't think I intend to ever buy a game through Discord. Like, because I don't want. I prefer to have my games as most like in one place as most as possible, like as good as possible. And Discord is, like you said, a very early, like in this market anyway. It's very early, and I don't necessarily know that I want my chat client to be associated with my game library.
Right.
In a way, I don't care necessarily, but at the same time, it's like I kind of have those as separate things in my mind.
Now that said, I do have 2 points on that note. Is that a lot of people still use Steam as their chat client, like they chat through Steam and nothing else, which is so like that not wanting to have your chat client associated might just be specific to you, but as a personal note, I actually use Discord as a launcher for some of my games because I don't have Steam started. Yeah, I know, but I don't have Steam start up on my PC startup, but of course I have Discord because that's the first thing I want to do.
I also don't have Discord.
Is chat to people. I do have Discord startup as a launch, so I'll start up Discord and it'll be like, oh, the last couple of games I played were Path of Exile and Let It Die and 2 Point Hospital. Maybe I want to play Path of Exile, so I just click on Path of Exile, and it launches for me. It's really ease of access for me, and like I know that you, Saine, might not have that, but I'm sure that some people use it, you know, and I know I do. So it might not be too. It's not too crazy of an idea to have games just you purchase through Discord and launch through Discord.
I never said it was. I'm just saying that I don't think I would do it, and I'm not convinced that a large segment of people would. Like, I'm not convinced that this is going to really go anywhere because I think people want fewer game platforms, not more. As much as people like to complain about Steam having kind of a stranglehold over their market, like. And that competition is good and stuff. Like, how many of us here uses GOG launcher?
Exactly. I will flat out buy a game on Steam over good old games because I can launch it through Steam.
I'll buy a second copy of a game on Steam so that I have it on Steam. Like,
actually, that's true. Like, Good Old Games gave away the whole Fallout Classic series for a while ago, and I bought it through Steam too, because I would rather launch it through Steam than having to go into my program files to launch it.
Yeah.
So like fewer game that's a perfect point. Fewer game platforms. Just launch everything through one universal thing. But that's kind of what I like about Discord, because Discord has all your games on it and it'll launch it like you can click play and it'll launch it for you. It'll have to launch Steam first. But but you can click on it in just one click.
I do like that Discord is trying to find vectors for monetizing their platform without selling data.
Yeah.
And that was one of the big reasons they talked about doing this. So I support them in theory. I just don't use them as a launcher. I don't use them to launch Steam. I don't use them to launch Blizzard games. I don't have Steam start as startup. I don't have Discord start as startup. Like, I don't know. There's not.
Yeah.
I guess in my mind, I really compartmentalize different programs, and I don't want them to cross over like that. Personally,
like I know that Discord is, relatively speaking, pretty new, but they've always been really good, like, with their monetization. I subscribe to Discord Turbo, and basically what I get out of that is the ability to use emoticons from other other servers on other
And an
servers,
animated
servers that
icon.
they're not in. And an animated icon, which I don't think I've used for like a while. Like those are the two things I get. The real reason that I subscribe to Discord Turbo is because I want to support Discord, because I think it's probably the best voice over IP platform I've ever used.
Yeah. I think it's one of the best for text too, actually.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
really what sold me, even more than the voice over IP.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Like,
I don't know, eventually Skype got kind of bad, but
like I used
kind of a different thing.
Ventrilo, I used Skype, I used TeamSpeak, and they all had glaring fucking issues with it. And Discord does away with these glaring issues. And yes, Discord has its issues, but every program has its issues, you know? Like,
Yeah,
you're not going to get away from every single issue.
I wish that OBS had Discord's noise gate, because Discord's noise gate works better than any noise gate I've ever seen on anything
even
else.
better so than Skype.
Oh,
Because,
yeah.
And I feel like a lot of that comes from Discord being configurable, right? Like Skype's noise gate just tried to filter out noise.
Well, I don't even think
Discord,
that's it.
You can kind of configure it.
I don't even think that's it, because even OBS gives you more options, not like OBS has more options than Discord in terms of very specific minute things. But Discord just works.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to use.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I need to look for a plugin for a better noise gate or something.
It does a very good job. Whereas Skype will create static to cancel noise, Discord will work very hard to cancel out static.
In Skype's defense, though, Skype is much better for shitty webcams that are part of the laptop. Skype is much better for lower quality microphones than Discord would be.
Yeah,
so there is a use case for it, and it's grandma at this point.
Yeah, and that I feel like almost that's because after Microsoft acquired Skype, they made it to be as accessible as possible.
I think it was headed that way already.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on.
Right.
We've kind of gotten off topic quite a bit.
Certainly.
There's a big Sea of Thieves update coming.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of framed. It's kind of framed. It's kind of framed as like a free expansion pack. What it's kind of doing is, okay, so some of the base highlights is they're adding like a new island or a kind of region that's like volcano-y and stuff. And then like water will damage you when you're in the water in those areas.
Forsaken Shores. I misread the hell out of that. Jesus Christ.
There's also they're adding rowboats, which are kind of cool because you can like put stuff on the rowboats, like all your chests you can put on the rowboats and then take them. And then even for like cannonballs or bananas or shit, it has a built-in chest to it too, so you can put like smaller things like bananas and stuff in it too.
Right.
They're adding a couple of new quests, 3 new quests that kind of you get it based on how well you do. So one of the things is like a box of silk you can find, and if it touches water too much, then it'll like decay. So you and then they also have like
so
plants
you want
which you have to water, and then there's like another one that you have to. I don't even remember.
Right. See, that seems really cool. Like,
bottles that can break. That was it.
I honestly, like, we only played Sea of Thieves for a very short time, but I really enjoyed
everything there was.
Exactly. Like that was what I was getting to. We did everything in Sea of Thieves. We really did everything that there was to do in like what, 2 days, 3 days, maybe 12 hours of gameplay.
I think it was more than that, but
I really
it was less than a week, but it was definitely like
I feel like we dicked around a lot in Sea of Thieves and didn't like get to the quests, and then when we did the quests and realized, wait, this is it.
Right, and that's what I liked about it. I liked that you could kind of dick around in Sea of Thieves. I liked Sea of Thieves as a core concept, but there just was not a lot to do.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think they've
And-
done a
and
lot
so-
to rectify that, because this is just this update. They've also already added other types of skeletons, and they added skeleton ships, I believe.
Yeah, they did add ghost ships, which
And they added more raid content.
one of my
Stuff.
problems with Sea of Thieves was that when you found another player, it just turned into a PvP free-for-all where somebody would chase you across the entire map because fuck you, that's why. Because one of the most fun things in Sea of Thieves was fighting other players, and so chasing another player across the map was a great thing to do because you would get to fight other players, because that was one of the most fun things you could do. So adding skeleton ships, like ghost ships, fighting another ship, but it's PvE content, like that sounds great, right? So I have a friend at work that talks a lot about Sea of Thieves, and he tells me about all of the cool updates, and they all sound really cool, but it's just nothing that really drags me back to want to try Sea of Thieves again.
I think the thing with Sea of Thieves is that, again, it feels like we played a beta, right? It doesn't feel like we played a full game.
Exactly.
But I think that a lot of what they've added are very incremental things. And I think it's one of those things, if we try it in a year from when it was released, it'll probably have enough incremental things that it'll feel a lot better.
Exactly.
That being said, I don't know how long it would really hold our attention again, but like I really did enjoy the sailing mechanics. So and stuff like rowboats, like that sounds fun too, because then you can just dick around on your own. So I don't know.
Exactly. So I want to go off on a small tangent here, and I know we're running really late, but when I was a kid, I had this pirate game that came with like a ship that you could place over your keyboard, and you had like little pegs, like little pieces that you could move the pieces around to different spots on your ship, and all the pieces really did was press buttons on your keyboard. But man, that I don't even remember what the game was called or anything really about the game, but I remember having it, and I remember moving the pieces around, and I was like, this is so fun because I can control the captain, and I can do different things. I can move this guy over to the gunner and stuff. And it was a great single player experience. And of course I was like 5, so I probably thought everything was a great single player experience, but Sea of Thieves really captures that feeling of the like that perfect feeling of the pirate game where everybody has their own role. You know, somebody is the gunner, somebody's running around and doing the ship, and in today's day and age, like, you know, people like make a lot of friends over the internet, and they play a lot of games with, you know, even just with randos. Like it's fun to play with other people. You don't have to manage everything. And when I was a kid, I was like content with managing everything, but nowadays I'm like, I want Thel to sit there and be in the crow's nest and tell us all the information, and I want Saine to drive the ship. I want to sit there on the guns and shoot at other people. And it captures the same feeling of actually running a pirate ship, you know? So Sea of Thieves was a really fun experience for the short time that it lived for us, but it just didn't have a lot of content.
Hey, what's your
continually
point?
adding my point is continually adding content to this game, which has a good base, is good. You know?
Yeah, and that's why I'd be
saying a second ago.
That's what
I want to go back to it.
And that's why I would be willing to go back to it, because I am interested in it, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to put this news in today. It's because I do kind of want to keep it on my radar.
Right, exactly.
The only thing is I'm not convinced I want to spend $60 for it.
Right.
I think occasionally maybe we can all have 1 month of the Xbox Game Pass or whatever and just play it for a month and then put it down, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
And it is cool that Microsoft does that, so.
Yeah, which is another cool thing about Xbox Game Pass. Like, say what you will about Xbox Live and paid online services, but Xbox Game Pass is a good service because you can use it with your PC.
Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about, although we need to speed up a little bit, but GLAAD, the LGBTQ Media Awards. Wait, is GLAAD GLAAD Media Awards anyway is adding an outstanding LGBTQ inclusive content video game category. So I think this is kind of cool because they're already, you know, they're about like this kind of media in the first place. So adding a video games like category kind of elevates video games as an art medium, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, GLAAD is already a video games based video game. It's already a video games based award ceremony.
It is.
Yeah, isn't it?
No, it's a LGBT thing.
No, it's
oh, really?
It's for representations of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer community stuff. It's specifically for the LGBTQ thing.
Yeah, it's like, you know, it has like
I just don't know what it stands for.
Miscellaneous.
So my hopes here, right, is that when they do these video games, they and if this is what it's about,
Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation.
Okay, right. So when they do these video games, they don't just take any old video game that has a gay character in it, right? My hope is that they specifically go for the video games that go above and beyond, right? Like where the whole video game is good, and it's not just one single story about like, oh, this character is gay. That's the entire story of the video game.
I'm gonna disagree. Like, I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit here. I think that you can have smaller games or even just smaller parts of games, and that's still a good representation of gays in a medium, right? I don't think it necessarily. I don't think it's like any of these could be nominated, and I don't even necessarily think that they should say which game is the best game, because it's not about that for them. It's about which gay representation is the best of these games.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about which video game goes above and beyond as a video game. I'm talking about which video game goes above and beyond as LGBTQ.
Well, I think you can nominate any of them. It's just the best one should win, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. So like I'm thinking something like Night in the Woods, and I know that this is my favorite video game of all time, so you might check out, but in Night in the Woods, all of the characters they feel like real people, you know? They feel like real people, and they're not, it's not like their one single character trait is that they're gay. Greg and Angus are two gay characters, but they are like fully fleshed out, almost human beings of people, and also they are in a gay relationship. May is a pansexual character, but
I think you're barking up the wrong tree here, because I think the people who would make the good decisions about who to highlight and stuff would be GLAAD. You wouldn't expect them to just pick, oh, here's the token gay character. That wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, here's the character in Dragon Age that is the gay elf, and he's flamboyant because he's gay, and that's the only reason.
Right. So yeah, I agree with you, but I just don't think that would even be a concern.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, like I don't know. I've never paid any attention to the GLAAD awards.
I haven't either, but I'm aware of them.
Yeah. But I like, because I don't know anything about them, I hope that is my hopes for this category is that it highlights characters that are good characters that also happen to be LGBT, you know?
Yeah. And that wouldn't surprise me if they did that.
Yeah, I would. No, like, it's not even like that would surprise me. That I would expect that.
Award, so. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Fallout 76, we got some new information on that.
Right.
The beta is launching on the 23rd, October 23rd for Xbox One, and October 30th for PC and PS4.
Right. So Xbox One obviously paid to get a kind of timed exclusive beta, right? Like that's the only way they could do it. They paid a little bit extra, be like, hey, give me this Fallout 76 beta. But the worldwide global release, I feel, is that it couldn't have a more perfect date. October 30th, 2076 is the day that the bombs fell in Fallout. So having this Fallout game's beta release on October, that's the day. Having a Fallout game's beta release on October 30th is the perfect release date for a Fallout game, especially for Fallout 76, which is so steeped in being so close to the day that the bombs fell.
Happy Halloween drops bombs.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah. It was like, oh boy, I can't wait to go trick-or-treating. Oh no, there's nukes. and you kind of see a little bit of Fallout of that in Fallout 4. Like your little town that you revisit is decorated with Halloween decorations and stuff.
I feel like they should have gone harder on the Halloween decorations, because I knew it was autumn, but I didn't really notice the Halloween stuff.
But yeah, it's just like, I feel that October 30th for a global release of the beta, disregarding Xbox timed release, October 30th is the perfect day.
That's cool,
because that's the canon date that the bombs fell, and I love it. I love it.
So we got some other information too. The Fallout 76 beta gameplay will carry over the full release, so you won't have to make new characters or whatever. It'll just go straight in.
That's kind of cool and kind of bad at the same time. Like, I bought into the beta. I pre-ordered it. I'm in the beta, you know, so I'm gonna like having the little advantage, but at the same time, like, I feel like it might imbalance the game a little bit for people. It's just one of those things. You have to wait till you see, because the game has the information we have on the game shows kind of.
I would
don't really want to keep it in PvP.
I would expect that they would surface players around the same level together anyway.
Right.
I couldn't imagine them putting high-level people with low-level people just all the time.
But like, take something like Conan Exiles or Ark or Rust even. If they had a timed release where you got to keep your characters if you pre-ordered, like, there would be characters where they would just be so vastly better that you wouldn't even want to play, because you would start on day one and you would just get killed by people who had been playing for a week.
But I think the nature of this game is completely different anyway.
Exactly. And
so I don't have that concern. I don't like, think it'll be an issue.
Exactly. Fallout 76, from the information we have, does not seem as steeped in PvP as those other Ark and Rust likes. So
right.
So I actually like the fact that you can keep your character from the beta.
I hope they have multiple characters, because it would be annoying if you were playing with friends who were higher level than you. Like, Thel and I didn't buy into the beta, so I wonder what that means for us playing with you, but I guess we'll find out. The other thing is Fallout 76 will not feature crossplay. They were announced that that it's not on their roadmap at the moment, but potentially it could be in the future, but like, they're not even thinking about it right now. Right, so keep in mind, if you're picking up Fallout 76, you need to buy it on the console that you intend to play with your friends. So
right. And that's really it. You just need to pick it up on the console you intend to play with your friends, because, you know, Fallout's a big enough series that people are going to be buying it on every console. If all you want to do is play with randos that you get seeded into their worlds, like, every console is going to have a good player base, so it'll be fine. Maybe
not Xbox, but we'll see, I guess.
Maybe, yeah.
I wonder how much a timed exclusive will help them, but
yeah,
we'll see. So why don't we're already pretty far over, so why don't we do our outro? We went a whole hour over, which is kind of surprising to me, because we only talked about like 3 games. But
but we talked about Let It Die for like close to an hour, so
all right. Yeah, because you wouldn't let me move on and go to the bathroom, man.
Sorry.
I didn't even get to talk about what I liked about it for like the first hour. I only got in like that last half hour.
It's Thel's fault.
It's your fault, man. Your fault. Nope. Anyway, so we're gonna do our outro now.
Okay.
Dalsson, no, Thel, you just had a game that came out, or you had a video that came out 3 days ago.
Yep, the Hat in Time video came out a couple days ago.
I haven't watched it yet, so I can't say anything about it, but I'm sure it's probably good knowing you. So
it's pretty funny, but the game actually makes a lot of jokes for him.
Yeah.
Okay. What it's coming up on your channel, Dalsson? More Let It Die? What's going on?
Yeah, more Let It Die. Like I said, I am completely in love with Let It Die. I am going to be playing that almost nonstop. I might go back to Path of Exile because, as a short little aside, they've made even more improvements to the Delve League. They have a little development manifesto. So once that their kind of ideas get patched in, I might be going back to that a little bit, but Let It Die is probably going to be my primary content for almost all of October until Fallout 76 comes out, at which case I'll be playing that, of course.
Well, unless you find someone else. You never know.
Maybe.
All right. With that, we're going to check out. We'll see you guys next time. And remember, as always,
of course, stay beautiful.